Mic check, mic check, mic check.
If you get married, make it a divorce. If this happens, then this.
Yeah.
If you have.
You know. All right, man. I wonder if the music is too loud for this. Let me just test something out real quick. Do you think the music is too loud? Let's check it out. I want to know before I start playing this. Mic check, mic check. All right, I think that sounds really better, right? It's loud. Yeah, okay. All right, man. So, you know what we're about to do with this one. This is Andrew Wilson and Coach Greg Adams debate, right? I was checking it out last night. Just a little snippet, 11 minutes here and there. And I was like, interesting. So I'm like, it's 3 hours, man. We're going to be here for a while, but let's hop right into this one.
If you get married, you may get a divorce. If this happens, then this may happen.
We already looked at the statistics of it likely happening.
Yeah,
so if you want to go, in order for your marriage to work, they have to be white, Christian, make money, and then also we live in a certain region.
The black community, you have more divorces than the white community. There's going to be contributing factors for why that is. I don't think that black people are just ontologically different than white people. For the black community, there's a bunch. One, you have a distinction in economic certitude. The second one is you had a massive abortion rate. Another one is you use matriarchal structures in the family home instead of patriarchal. So you have multiple factors here which need to be addressed. I agree with that. Nobody ever disagreed with that, though.
Okay, guys, finally getting started. Thanks for being patient. I know there was some delays. We got Andrew here versus Coach Greg Adams, aka the Free Agent Lifestyle. We're going to talk about today, is marriage worth it for men in the West? So let's get into some opening statements. Who wants to start off?
Yeah, man, marriage is a great institution. It was an institution that built the community of America. Most of the better communities that have safety, good children, good schools are typically centered around marriage. However, marriage has not progressed to the point where men could be safe legally, and a lot of men have experienced tremendous damage, collateral damage as a result, and it has led to broken families, a lot of broken hearts, simply because the laws are not.
Should I move myself? Hold on. Let me check this out real quick. Is that going to be better? Let's test it out and see.
Positioned to benefit both people in a divorce. Therefore, you have no-fault divorce. You have opportunities for women to use the courts against men. And as a result, men have seen 1, 2, and 3 generations of men getting harmed, their grandfathers, their fathers, their uncles, their brothers getting harmed by this. So Generation Z men are not positioning themselves for a positive marriage. So at this particular point, if someone asked me, would I recommend marriage for them, and they were in a certain position in life, they weren't established, I would say no. There's no benefit for a person to get married today.
Got it. Your response, Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't hear any anti-marriage arguments. I heard anti-divorce arguments. So I'm with you on divorce, 100%.
Stream over.
And we're,
I guess I agree.
But it's a good thing that the topic isn't on divorce, it's on marriage. And it seems like you agree with my proposition then. And the proposition is that marriage, quote, is a great institution.
Yep.
And that right now your concern is that men can't be safe in marriage, but that's not actually what you're saying. You're not saying men can't be safe in marriage, they can. You're saying that they may not be safe in divorce. So I have a counter proposition for you. My counter proposition is, what if it's the case that you can use religious marriage institutions without the state? And then we add the ecclesiastical structure of the marriage. That's what always kept them together anyway, before the state was ever involved. So what if instead we use the ecclesiastical church, the structure of the old churches? That would be Catholicism and Orthodoxy, where you see the lowest divorce rates, because the community puts pressure on the women to act right. That's what they do. Right now, the state applies no pressure on women to act right, right? You can just go and file whatever you want, get a divorce, and go be banging the neighbor by the next night. We totally agree on that. But to say that we should abandon marriage is silly. It seems like you're completely pro-marriage. You're just anti-divorce. So why wouldn't you just throw your weight behind institutions where the divorce rate is the least, and you have an ecclesiastical structure which can be appealed to assist with that? That's what makes no sense to me.
My response to that is, if we're fifths, we beat all drunk. All right. So that's a scenario that just isn't present.
Can you explain the analogy for me?
Well, if we use if, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If we say, if we have a situation where this is present, then this would work. Well, that makes sense. If we had that,
we do have it right now.
Well, it doesn't necessarily work because, and I'm going to tell you why, because a woman can go to a divorce attorney and they can simply just say, hey, listen, it was a off the cuff, off the state divorce, but you got married within a certain state, or she filed in a certain state, so therefore the divorce goes on.
No.
Absolutely, yes.
Well,
Listen, I've been with the divorce attorneys, and what they'll tell you is, hey, listen, you can get married in a ritual, you can get married in the orthodoxy, you can get married off record, but if she files and that woman is hell-bent on saying, we got married, I don't care if it was a ceremony where we walked on coals with our feet bare, that's considered a marriage. You also have common law. You have a lot of other ways for that woman to establish marriage.
How does your way eliminate common law?
I don't have any way to eliminate common law.
So
what
then-
I have is a way for men to avoid
Well, then the
being
argument's
used.
silly.
No, the argument's not silly. So here's what you have. You have a if proposition, which doesn't exist for most men.
I mean, there's a great way to avoid common law. Just don't live with her. Simple. You don't live with her, common law doesn't come at you, right? I think that's simple.
Most men aren't religious. Most men aren't looking to be under a religious orthodoxy. So it doesn't apply. So you're taking a moral standard or a religious standard to apply to people who aren't under that veil.
So let's start with a couple of things you said which are fundamentally untrue. Most men are religious, in fact, including in this country. Most of them, not some of them.
But they're not religious.
Hang on. I didn't
Hold on for a
interrupt.
second.
I didn't
Right.
interrupt.
I understand,
Interrupt.
but you're maybe just take that point. Most aren't under your religion.
Okay.
We can agree with that.
So here's the thing, though. But Catholicism and Orthodoxy is growing rapidly. And if it's the case that the ecclesiastical structure is already there, which it is, right? If you're going to cohabitate with a woman, the thing that you're offering right now is common law marriage anyway, if there's cohabitation at all. You're not protecting anybody from that. At least under my model, it gives an ecclesiastical structure that's designed to prevent divorce by applying community pressure. That was the way it was always done. Apply the application of community pressure within the confines of the woman's social circle. Right now, do you agree with me, for instance, that many divorces happen because women like to yap? So you get a freshly divorced woman and she's free. You go, girl. Girl power. And she starts talking to her little friends and she starts telling them how liberating it is and how great it is and this and that. And this is why when women have divorced friends, their likelihood of divorce actually rapidly increases. It's for this reason.
Divorce is contagious.
So if it's the case that this social contagion is eliminated because now we have an ecclesiastical structure, an ecclesiastical authority, which won't grant it because you get ostracized from that social group through excommunication, for instance, or not being able to participate anymore with that community, that's an application of a serious and significant social pressure, which can do the very thing you want. Bring back that great...
What a setup. This is a setup. This is a setup, man. That's crazy because... You know why that is crazy? Because you're only not going to divorce out of fear, out of getting ostracized from your own people, from your own friends, from your own religious leaders, your own people that you go to church with and your community. So you're operating in fear. It doesn't mean that she doesn't want to divorce, or it doesn't mean that she doesn't hate you. It doesn't mean that the male don't hate you, but they're operating out of fear. And God said to his, not God, but Jesus said to his apostles, I'm not going to have you be like these preachers that carry handbag for receiving coin and dress like them and all this stuff. I'm not going to have you be like them and this religious leader that lord over these people in fear and control them. I won't have you be like them. That's not the way of the kingdom that he's bringing forward. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, right? You want to bring back this biblical law that controls and rule over these women and males and govern them, and you think that is from God, but it's just an identity. It's just a man-made law that is only you think you're operating in the Lord. You think you're operating under the scope of God and Jesus Christ, but you just create a system that is what you would call it traditional, that we moved away from, but yet we want to move back to it, just so you can be with a woman and have a great life and have kids and all this stuff. What's wrong with these males that you need a woman? This is interesting to me now that I'm actually listening to this from the beginning. Something is wrong with these males, right? Something is wrong with them. That's what I'm getting to understand here, right? We can have a discussion and debate and female and feminism, but for you to fight to put these will on these female, it will not change anything, because you're not operating out of love. You're operating out of fear and control and putting back mechanism in place to rule over them. And it won't make the situation any better or any different. So this is interesting.
Institution, absent the state, and it avoids this whole problem of common law marriage. Because if it's the case that you can be common law married anyway inside of a state, and they can, get grounds for divorce on that anyway, then we actually need to have some social pressures to prevent them from doing that. So it sounds like we agree marriage is awesome for men. Divorce is terrible for them. So it seems like we should be attacking the divorce structure here, and it doesn't seem like you actually have anything to do that other than just avoid the thing that's great for you, because this other bad side effect could happen.
Sure, that's
so
like
why don't
smoking
we
cigarettes.
So why don't we attack the bad side effect when we have the mechanism to do it? It's not if, we can do it now.
Okay,
right
so
this
like
second.
smoking cigarettes is the same analogy you're saying. Okay, here, cigarettes in this situation, we obviously know it has negative side effects, so you would avoid it. Now, here's the issue that I have with it. It sounds great on paper, but we can't travel to the land of make-believe. It sounds great. The majority of people probably wouldn't do it. And if you ask a guy, which this is an important part, they're not even prepared to even talk about that. They don't even know what divorce laws are. So you're asking them to travel to the land of make-believe under a marriage system that small percentage of people use. No one uses it today. You might have said they used it to the past. Today, that doesn't exist. So we can't travel to the land of make-believe to make marriage work for you. It might work in your marriage, but it doesn't work for the greater structure.
Your argument here contradicts itself, because on the one hand, you say men don't know enough about marriage, but my assumption is that your mission is to let men know about marriage?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then, I don't understand how it's the land of make-believe if you can let them know about this, but I can't?
Sure.
Right, so
you can offer that.
So if I am, it sounds like I'm offering a real alternative to what you're offering, and here's what you're offering. Men, marriage is great. It's a great institution. It's the best for children. These are your words. In marriage, right, men seem to thrive. Their health seems to thrive. Everything seems to thrive. You're saying, well, the problem is that divorce rates are high, and they are. However, there's a few things there that you haven't covered. One, it depends on demographic too. For instance, if you're black, it's going to be way worse than if you're white.
Correct.
Okay, way worse. And also socioeconomics matters, right? Demographics in general matter. So you can do a lot, actually, including prenuptial agreements. You can have a prenuptial agreement with the ecclesiastical authority without the state even involved. And it seems like that would mitigate your risk to damn near nothing.
You said if about 50 times
So did
today.
you.
Now, here's what I'm telling you.
So
I'm
did
telling you
you.
when, all right, we're already in this system. You're going outside of the system to create a scenario for me to argue.
What
against.
system are you going outside of?
Shout out to today's sponsor, Quince. As the weather cools,
Yeah, I'm not here for the ads.
With the state. Almost everyone does it this way. So
Typically,
now
it's
you're
not-
here's hold on
it's
for a
not
second. Hold on for a
must.
second. You've
Typically
moved the
doesn't mean
goalposts.
anything.
You've moved the goalposts to a scenario of if. And you're arguing
is.
from the if.
Is.
No, hold on for a second. You're arguing from the if
It
perspective.
is perspective.
No, listen.
It is.
Give me a
is
chance to
perspective.
listen.
All right,
Give
I'll
me a
give you
chance.
Go ahead.
You're arguing from a very small percentage point.
If.
Now you're saying demographics, and we can talk about that, but you're still trying to get me to argue in your cloud of if. That's the land of make-believe. Most people, by far, are married to the state. Not only that, your land of make-believe still exists, the prenup with the ecclesiastics. You can write whatever you want in that prenup. It only matters in the divorce. That's the reality. So I'm still dealing in reality. You're in the clouds. Hold on for a second. You're in the clouds. So let's take the demographics.
Okay.
In your scenario,
The if is the imagination, man. The if is the imagination. And we don't do if around here. We respond in real time. We be present and we see what to do, not what if. Because what if it's just evil. It's evil. You're not living. You're not living.
Scenario, it sounds like, which would be fair, your primary concern is with white people.
No, it's with
Hold on for a second. You said with black people, the demographics, the chance is higher.
yeah.
So have you discovered the ecclesiastics approach to black people married within this?
Yes.
However, their demographics, economics, which all do affect marriage, has nothing to do in the land of the clouds or the make-believe with ecclesiastics. It's all going to boil down to in the law. And there's no church reverend that's going to go into your household to make sure there's social pressure on your wife. Do you know
yes,
any?
sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know any that can cover all marriages? That
Yes.
answer is no.
Yes. And by the way, when you keep
Are we in reality here?
I'm
Are we in
trying.
the clouds.
Uh,
I
when
mean,
you're-
we're not arguing anything legitimate.
I was just
This
trying
is this is in the land of make believe.
well, when I'm
You know,
allowed
no.
to respond, let
Okay,
me
give me a second.
Go ahead.
Let me finish this point.
Go ahead.
You're imagining. Your imagination is great. John Lennon would be great.
Imagination. That's crazy. He's on the money with that one.
You know, you would be proud of you at this particular point.
But I'm imagining all the people.
You're imagining all the people under a situation and a structure that you brought in here, all right? But the state highly governs this, and the state highly governs divorce. I'm dealing in a reality situation where I'm trying to counsel men to give information to. The best thing you've told me is that you're willing to give men the option to do this. Are they willing to all do this option? The answer is probably not, just like they're not willing to do what I'm telling them to do. However,
There's some truth to that, right?
we're both attempting, which is a good thing. It's noble. However, your situation rarely exists. Can we talk about the reality of what exists?
Sure.
Absolutely. So let's take your moral religious crusade out of it and talk about the reality.
Yeah, let's
Are you
not.
willing to do that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
See, you're not willing to do that
Well,
because it's all based on your reality.
Guess what? It's a debate, and I will argue my points from my view, how I see fit. It's not for you to
But what I'm
govern.
not going to do is expect
not
to
my
be arguing
government.
from the land of make-believe.
Yeah, but it's,
Okay.
You
All right. So
okay, yeah,
anybody
my
have
turn? My turn.
I have
relax.
anybody have the sound effect for the television show where the train comes through, Mr. Rogers?
Let me know when you-
because I want to be on
let me know
I
when you
want to be
guess
on
out.
Earth.
Yeah, let me know.
All right,
Yeah,
Let's let Andrew respond.
Yeah, so the thing is it's funny that you bring up Imagine All the People of John Lennon, which is an anti-religious song. And hilariously
I don't know why does that matter, but okay.
enough, was designed to assist with female empowerment. Isn't that hilarious? But the thing here is you keep on saying that what I'm offering is make-believe, but it's not. It's been governing the Orthodox and Catholic Church for 2,000 years, including in this country. Now, here, let me give you an example, for instance, the Amish, right? Do you know what the divorce rate is among them? It's almost non-existent, yet they're still governed by the same laws of the land that you're speaking to. So sounds like if I give a counter, if I say, look, I can give you a way, a methodology in which you can utilize the religious ecclesiastical institution, which has existed for 2,000 years and has right now the lowest divorce rates, right this second as we speak, not in make-believe land, not hundreds of years in the future, right this second, as opposed to the system you have of common law divorce, which is sky high and you can't do anything about it. That's what is true. So pointing out what is true is right now you can have a prenup. That is true. What is true is prenups are usually held up in court. That is true. What is true is that you can have a marriage outside of a state because it's a religious institution anyway. You never have to have a license with the state. It's never been necessary. And if you do, the only way that that can be done is if it's sacramental. And if it's sacramental, it's governed now by the church. That's going to be the community the women are a part of. And so the thing is like, that sounds like a real viable solution. What's yours? More fucking degeneracy? Go out and play the field, hump a lot of chicks? How's that going to help anybody do anything? That's been the progressive mantra for 100 years. Isn't it wonderful? Your turn.
Interesting points, right? Interesting points. Andrew brought up the Amish, lowest divorce rate ever right now that we're looking at. But we have to take a step back and understand, are the Amish in the society that we're seeing? They're out of the society scope. They're in their own world. They're out of touch with this world. They use less technology. I don't know if they're on Instagram and all that stuff. I know they use electricity because a company that I used to work for, they had to go weld in the boonies to the Amish, right? To get contract with them and stuff like that. And they're just not in the society that is feeding the majority of society that is saying that religion is working for, right? Religion is working for the Amish that is outside in the boonies that are not interacting with the society, the brainwashed society that we're seeing. We should introvert them into the society and then see how that goes, right? Because I've listened to a bunch of Amish people talk actually, and they're just as miserable and doing the same act, drinking, having sex out of wedlock, and their parents are just as crazy as the ones that are in the society that the Amish are away from. So there's really no difference in there. There's still evil in the Amish Catholic religion belief that is claiming that has a low divorce rate. There's really no difference. That family is still messed up as the one that we're seeing in society, right? Next point is, what was the next point? You brought up a point that I really wanted to touch on, but I forgot now. I totally forgot.
For the television show where the train comes through, Mr. Rogers.
Let me know
because I want to be on
marriage outside of a state because it's a religious institution anyway. You never have to have a license.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Listen. This is what's happening, right? He says, Coach Greg Adam, your solution is go hump and do whatever. Let's just play that.
With the state, it's never been necessary. And if you do, the only way that can be done is if it's sacramental. And if it's sacramental, it's governed now by the church. That's going to be the community the women are a part of. And so the thing is like, that sounds like a real viable solution. What's yours? More fucking degeneracy? Go out and play the field, hump a lot of chicks? How's that going to help anybody do anything? That's been the progressive mantra for 100 years. Isn't it wonderful?
So he's saying Coach Greg Adams' solution here is for go out, dry humping, play the field, have fun, do your thing, because what's the point of getting married, right? What's the point of getting married? Because you're gonna end up in divorce court, no fault divorce. The state, the law is against men, it's against males, and That's Andrew's point. Andrew's solution is we're gonna get the church, we're gonna get the leaders, we're gonna get the community to hold the females accountable, put social pressure on them, drive fear into them. That's pretty much what he's saying. Drive fear into them, and we're going to use that to control them. And by doing that, it'll make marriage better. But it won't make marriage any better. It's not going to make marriage any better in any way that I can think of, because the women, they're going to be still in misery because they have not overcome the evil inside of them, right? The males, they're still evil. They haven't overcome the evil inside of them, right? So it's causing more friction and more evil in the world that I can actually think of, because, right, the males want to be with a woman so bad. They have to implement this rigid religion fear into them, and hold fire to their feet, right? They have to hold this fire to their feet to get them to comply. What's wrong with you that you're trying to get the devil to comply? I don't understand, right? You want a woman so bad, and Jesus said it's better for a man to be alone, right? But if you can't be alone, you're gonna be lusting and doing all this thing. Get married, right? Whatever, right? It's up to you. Go get married, right? But what we're seeing here is two different solutions, but they don't solve no problems. They don't solve any problem, because one is that you're gonna go slut, make a bunch of kids out of wedlock, you're gonna get them pregnant, they're gonna take you to the court, they're gonna destroy you, On the other hand, same thing. You're gonna hold fire to these women's feet by the religious leaders. Their friends are gonna judge them, ostracize them, kick them away. They're not gonna be friends with them anymore. Pure evil, diabolical, sinister actions. I'm hearing from both sides, right? To their point and solution to this problem that they're talking about, right? That's what they're saying. And all I'm hearing is evil on each side, because on both sides, the males, they're still subjective to female. They haven't overcome the female nature. They're looking for love. They're looking for salvation. They're looking for happiness. They want kids. And all of these is just from the thoughts. It's just from evil telling them to do this thing. Even though God made woman and man so they can have kids, so he doesn't have to keep making with his power, right? So you don't have to keep doing it that way, right? There's a right way to do it, and none of these ways is the right way, because these so-called community, they're gonna judge this female, right? Which is evil. You can tell her, listen, not good. This is the way of the Lord, but because you're gonna ostracize them, not talk to them anymore, and put fear into them, that is not of God. That is not of God. Right? That's what I'm getting here.
Your turn.
All right, we're returning back to earth. Now, first things first, when it comes to this, back in reality, there's no God in marriage. So, Mr. Sky Daddy, God, religion, that's all great, but there's no God in marriage. At this particular point, when you go through a marriage, if one person decides to not obey the Holy Bible or whatever you're thumping, you have no basis to keep that marriage together. If she decides to leave the church and decides not to listen or excommunicate herself, she's now under the state.
Agree.
Now, when you're getting divorced, which I'm assuming you've been divorced.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of an assumption to make.
Have you been divorced?
Well, I mean,
have you been married?
Can you tell me, if you can tell me how that has any merit?
Give me a second,
debate.
because if you've been through one, you would know that there's no God in the divorce court, in the family court. There's no God in there. No one asked.
There is the state in there.
There is no God in there, that's for sure. All evil. All evil. Because they always give the kids to the female. All evil in there. He's right about that one.
There is the state. So that
all they're after is the money. That's it. And they use the female to get to the father to get the money. That's all they do. So I can't agree that there's no God in these divorce court. There's no God in that marriage. Because a marriage that's put together by God, there's no fight, there's no control, there's nothing. It's just happening naturally, right?
That's what we're arguing for.
Yeah,
that's when you get married. So you're telling me if, and I'm telling you, well, this is what's going to happen. Even if you took Sky Daddy into court with you, they would say you pray to the judge.
Oh.
The judge is the authority in the court. So the God argument is a nice, interesting argument, and I probably am not going to stay on the conversation very long, because that's your God. That's your Sky Daddy. That's your religion. I have a different religion. So who gives you who gives you the authority to change the understanding, the conversation to your religion? That's your religion.
I'm not changing the conversation.
Okay, so it only works if it only works if you believe in your Sky Daddy. That's the only way it works, and that's the only way you're going to advise men.
We're talking about mitigating risk.
No. We're talking about, can men get into a marriage today only under your Sky Daddy? That's what we're assuming.
Okay.
Now, can they do it otherwise?
Yeah, you can have secular marriage.
Okay, go ahead and explain.
Okay, yeah.
Make it work.
I just did. So
Make it work.
The argument that you have is that marriage is great. It's a great institution.
We already covered this.
Well, what made it great?
We already covered
What
this.
made it great?
Can we go into why it would make it work for your secular? That's the question I ask you.
But
you're asking me questions back. Go ahead and answer the question.
So if you're talking about secular marriage, there's never been any point to it.
I'm sorry?
There's never been any point to secular marriage, ever. Never. What would ever be the point of secular marriage? It's always been a religious institution. That's what made it great. Now, when you say it's a great institution, what made it great for secularists, other than the fact that Sky Daddy and God had all these enforcement arms, and those things had to be enforced socially? Like, for instance, men weren't allowed to run away. And women, right, they had to show cause for these divorces. And they had to be good causes. They had to show it for things like infidelity, right? It was all biblically governed. It was all lawfully governed by this Sky Daddy guy you like so little. But that's what made the institution great in the first place. And what you're talking about here, you're making a point that divorce
God, what I'm getting here, God was not in those enforced laws. No, he was not. That was all man. That was all man, so they can be in a relationship with a woman, and so the woman will behave. That's it. Control. God is not in that, right? The only way God end up in these relationships is that if the female take responsibility for the evil inside of her and realize that God sent his only begotten son to make a way for us, and she needs to die so God can increase, and the male needs to die, the evil inside of him, he needs to be aware of it so that can die so he can live, so life and the truth can flow, and no one will be in this relationship try to fight for control. Because relationship really only don't work because there was no love there from the beginning. There was no love there from the beginning, that feeling. And then it's gonna fade, and then you're both gonna want to fight for that feeling again, and it caused this chaos because you think you have love. Oh Lord, I have love. You have no love. So this argument is like they're fighting to the way have already been made. Jesus came, show us the way, but yet we're so caught up in our own way, listening to thoughts and evil, that we're missing the point. We're really missing the point in these conversations, right?
is bad. And yet, I agree, divorce is bad. So what we're really talking about is how do we mitigate the risk for divorce? And we have two different methods here.
Well, the conversation,
The method-
marriage good for men. That's the conversation.
But it is. We already said it's good for men. That's not even a dispute.
And now, how do we make it better since they're avoiding?
Well, it sounds
men or women
like-
are avoiding it.
It sounds like the thing that you think makes it bad is divorce, not marriage.
Correct.
Then we need to mitigate divorce.
We're 15 minutes in.
I'm confused. Right? Let's listen to really what was just said. Let's go back.
Say
The method-
marriage good for men. That's the conversation.
But it is.
Is marriage good for men? Or let's use males, because man is let's use males. Is marriage good for males, right? That's the question.
We already said it's good for men. That's not even a dispute.
And now, how do we make it better since they're avoiding?
Well, it sounds
men or women
like-
are avoiding it.
It sounds like the thing that you think makes it bad is divorce, not marriage.
So, if marriage is good for males, why is there divorce all over the place? Because if it's good, that means it's good, right? There shouldn't be bad and the opposite end, because that means marriage is not good for males because it causes problem at the end of the day. And the reason why these marriages are not working is because you're married for the wrong reason. You're married for food. You're married because of feel-good moments. You're married because the male is worshiping the woman. You're married because the male have made the woman his God and he worship her. And vice versa, sometimes the woman make the male her God. And that's just what it is. Because it all runs off feelings. And that's not why marriage was made. Marriage was made from God. For you to be together, to have kids, and to prosper and populate the earth and bring heaven onto earth. But that's not what's happening. You are listening to evil. That's what's happening here.
Correct.
Then we need to mitigate divorce.
We're 15 minutes in, and we are in the land of reality. You finally called up. Can you tell
I've been
me
there the whole
how
time.
we can get to the secular marriage? I mean, I've given you a
Yeah,
chance.
so-
You're dragging your
So again, there's never been any point to secular marriage ever.
feet. Now listen, marriage is for child creation. It would be great for child communities
it's
and
not
all
just
of
for
these
that.
things. And now listen, by the time the
Wait.
religious aspects
Great
got,
child-
I mean,
Wait.
I've given you a
Yeah,
chance.
so
You're
he hits an important part here, right? Listen to this again.
dragging your
So again, there's never been any point to secular marriage ever.
Secular marriage is only for feel good and for sex. Same with every marriage I can think of. There's really no difference, right? There's really no difference.
Now listen, marriage is for child creation. It would be great.
That's it. That's what marriage is for. Man and woman come together. If you're gonna make a child, you need to be married. Make a child. That's what marriage is for. That's what sex is for. Marriage, you're married, you want to make a child, then you have sex to create a child. That's it. Nothing else, nothing more. Right? But feelings got involved. Worshiping got involved. You gotta make me feel good got involved. Communication got involved. All of this worldly things that is of the devil, because this is the devil's world. The physical world is for the devil. Right?
For child communities and all of these things. And now listen, by the time the religious aspects got into marriage, they were chopping people's heads off and burning Bibles. So listen, I know we want to take it back to the past and act like the past was better, but there's always a negative part of the past. If you go back and you look at the English, this has all been there. People were getting their heads chopped off. The Crusaders were doing their things across countries, and they were spreading Christianity through threats and
What does that have
violence.
to do with anything?
Now, that's what you're trying to uplift. That's what you're trying to uphold.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
You wouldn't know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't.
That's where you're lacking.
I have no
so
idea.
catch up. You're sitting
What
across
does
from me. I
crusades
want
have
you
to do with divorce?
That was when your holy marriage was the best marriage that you're trying to go to. Now listen.
In the
if we're trying to drag it back-
1950s? Were we crusading in the 1950s?
No.
What the hell are you talking about?
You talked about the institution of marriage for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Sir, do you need me to catch you up on what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
but
You're having trouble
you know what
keeping up
marriage-
with me.
do you know what
You're
marriage was
having
like
trouble
50 years
keeping up
ago?
with me. You said
I am
2,000 years ago.
truly
And I told you
intellect is
2,000
dizzying.
years ago, they were chopping people's heads off.
Which has what to do with
I
anything?
need you to catch up with me, sir.
Okay.
If you want to take things back to the past, you have to accept everything as the past. You can't just
Hold on. All right, let's resume. Yo, I'm hungry. I haven't ate anything all morning. Anything. I'm kind of fasting because I have my boss birthday thing to go to later. So I'm trying to hold on in there. Normally I work all day without food, and then like I finish work 4 or 5 o'clock. I get home, I eat, but oof, it's hitting me, man.
cherry pick. Wow, here's the thing. You're cherry picking. If you want to take things back to tradition, take it all the way back. Why stop at the 50s? Take it back to the 1890s.
What you're saying right now is so incoherent. I actually don't even understand.
Well,
it.
that's what. Listen, when you're
It's
when you're running out of bullets,
incoherent.
when you're running out of bullets,
What's
the last thing you do
incoherent?
is the shame. All right,
I'm not
listen.
even trying to
Are
shame you.
struggling?
It's just incoherent.
I need you to catch up with me.
Okay, catch me up.
Just
Coach Greg Adam, he's right on the money on this one. When he says incoherent, he's telling you he's not making any sense, right? You're not making any sense, Coach Greg Adam. Listen, you know, if when people know what controls you or what make you angry or what make you upset, they can control the argument, they can control the framing, right? So incoherent. If Coach Greg Adam judge Andrew Wilson for this word now, Coach Greg Adams is gonna have some type of feeling about it, because he's gonna go in his thoughts, imagination, and says, "Oh, you're trying to humiliate me, saying I'm not making sense." But if you're making sense, it wouldn't bother you. Words should not be able to bother you. Words should not be able to control you, because if someone can use a word to make you feel some type of way, you're easily manipulative and controlling. Just like, oh, you would have babies with these females and they'll call you deadbeat dads. They'll call you all these names. So you try to live up to it, and they're still going to judge you for it to make you feel bad. So you're going to feel bad, judge yourself, and then you're in your imagination about everything, and then you're one with evil. Now evil is going to take over you and try to make you defend your ego, this part of you that is hurt, this part of you that needs to have this respect right? Because that's how evil works. The evil in other people try to get the evil in you to react. And once you react, they control you. Because now you're going to lose control. And it's the evil that is inside of you that's going to take control and drive you after. You're separated from God at this point. You're not even present. The enemy has you, right? You think the enemy is actually Andrew Wilson, but guess what? There's the enemy inside of him, of course. But the enemy is also in you. And the enemy wants you to react so it can take control over you. Isn't that amazing? Right?
Just say you're lacking if you can't keep it up.
It's
all right, now here's the
incoherent.
problem.
It's incoherent.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
I don't know what to tell you.
Here's the problem. You're having.
2,000 years ago, they were chopping heads off. Who gives a shit?
Listen,
What does that
you
mean?
said 2,000 years ago.
I mean, he does have a point there when he's saying, listen, man, 2,000 years ago, you're going back to religion. Myself, for communication purposes, I don't know if 2,000 years they were chopping heads off. But if you're a Christian woman and you divorce or you left your husband and the consequence is that they will chop your head off, you will not want to leave your husband. Now you're living in fear, and that fear controls you because you don't want to die, so you're going to stay with him no matter what, right? Even if he's evil, even if you know you judge him and you're going to use the kids to destroy him, you can't leave because you're going to die for it, right? I think that's the point he's trying to make here, right? But let's listen.
I'm coming up with yours. Your holy religious 2,000 years ago. It's been a part of.
What does that have to do with this?
Exactly. Here's the problem. You're cherry picking.
Cherry picking what?
Listen,
I'm listening.
I'm gonna slow you down. I'm gonna slow you down because I see what you're doing here. I'm gonna slow you down, okay? Because it's hard for you to keep up.
It is.
I understand. I understand because you haven't been across. This is your toughest debate. Your audience knows this.
Oh, it's rough.
There's no God in marriage.
Okay.
In the United States.
Yeah.
Can we agree to that? When you get to divorce, there's no God in marriage.
Can't agree to that.
We need to agree to it because when you go into divorce,
I can't agree with that. You know why? Because if there was God in marriage, it wouldn't lead to divorce. I think that's the point he's trying to make, right? And if God was in that marriage, which means it's not a if, but marriage is marriage and it's happening right in front of us. If God was in marriage, right? These females wouldn't try to destroy these males and take the kids away from the males. That's pure evil. God is not in that. God is not in that. It's evil. These females are driven by their pride, ego, envy, egotistic, power-driven. And the males are feeding into that persona, that evil. And it makes the female feel like they have power, fake power, but it makes them feel good, make them feel empowered, which drive them deeper into hell. I've experienced this 100%. Not in divorce, but like just in normal situation, I'll see it. I see the power that it gives them, and it props them up and it makes them feel good, right? And I just look back and take a step back and I reevaluate. I'm like, oh, interesting, because this is what God meant, or Jesus meant when he came and teach, not or. This is what God mean when he sent Jesus with the word, and Jesus gave the word and says, turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. They try to control you or make you feel some type of or try to manipulate you and put power over onto you so they can make themselves feel good. This is what God meant. Turn the other cheek. And by turning the other cheek, you'll be able to see this false illusion of power that they think they're getting. But if you don't turn the other cheek and you feed into it, you yourself, you're going deeper into hell. And you're feeding the ego and the hell inside of them because you're only making them feel like they have power. You're giving them that control, and it's gonna make them feel good, and that feel good is just driving them deeper into hell. So it's two evil. You have to have two evil going at each other for the one that have the perceived illusion of power for them to feel good, and have that imaginary power that they imagine, which is evil driving them to make them feel good, which is gripping them even more, driving them deeper into hell. But it seems like life to them, and you feeding into it, which you're trying to fight the evil in them, but really the evil is in you. For you to step back and see that there's something inside of you, because you go unconscious thinking about you need to protect and fight for this respect that they're trying to diss in you. But you think of yourself, you literally go unconscious, and then by thinking of yourself, you go unconscious, and the evil now is driving you and telling you things to do to protect the ego, and it's driving you to do evil and to fight with evil. And that evil, it thinks it's smart, it thinks it's cunning, but there's nothing good about it. It's just pure evil, which is interesting, right? Very
Fourth
interesting.
court.
Yeah.
There's no God.
Yeah,
we
but
can't bring in your God
thought-
and your Bible. And at that particular point, none of your ecclesiastics marriage works.
Okay.
Period.
So the thing is, you just said, can we agree that there's no God in marriage? And then
You don't have to agree.
but hang on, calm down. And then you switched over to divorce. There's no God in divorce. But those are two different questions and proposition. Hang on, relax. The second thing is that
I think
saying that what
I think Andrew Wilson missed the point here, but all good. You missed the point. You missed the point.
made marriage a great institution is this whole Sky Daddy character. And that the institution has been in place for 2,000 years and has been, hang on, calm down.
2,000
And it's
years.
been a strong institution. I'm not actually sure how tying in that at the time they cut people's heads off, what that has to do with the fact that in the 1950s and 40s, you still had 95% of these marriages staying together. This is not ancient history. This is not even early American history. That's hang on. That's in your grandfather's lifetime, basically. And this, by the way, that was the case for black marriages as well. Very strong institutions. But all of those institutions were that way because they followed that whole Sky Daddy thing. They were like, oh, that Sky Daddy's going to smite us if we don't. And so what you do here is you're giving the classic progressive argument, which is, well, you know, guys, it is true that it's a great institution, and it is true it's the best place in the world to have children for the continuation of the species. And also, it's fantastic for men's health. It's fantastic for their mental health. It's great for them in almost every way. But that divorce thing is real bad, and I counter. You're right. That divorce thing is
Who said it's best thing for man's mental health, for man's lifespan, for happiness? Who says marriage? I mean, I guess marriage brings you happiness because it's a thrill. It comes and it goes, and you have to keep fighting for that same feeling. So you might be right that marriage brings you happiness, but it's not peace. It brings you, and that happiness is something you have to keep chasing. So I guess that's why they fight in marriage. So I may agree with that part, that marriage brings you happiness. It's a thrill, right?
real bad. We have now a center of agreement. But now we're going back to the marriage in the West thing, which is that whole great institution problem. Well, if we agree that what made it good, which you just did, is, hey, that Sky Daddy guy, and then I point out that right now you can still utilize that Sky Daddy guy for an ecclesiastical marriage outside of the state. Hang on. And the only thing you could do is say, what about common law? But you can't govern anybody from common law. And at least in the ecclesiastical institution, you have social pressures on women to stay married. You can't offer a man anything like that. Give me a single
What? Hold on. I think I missed something here. What? What's the difference?
It's great for him in almost every way, but that divorce thing is real bad, and I counter. You're right, that divorce thing is real bad. We have now a center of agreement, but now we're going back to the marriage in the West thing, which is that whole great institution problem. Well, if we agree that what made it good, which you just did, is, hey, that Sky Daddy guy, and then I point out that right now you can still utilize that Sky Daddy guy for an ecclesiastical marriage outside of the state. Hang on. And the only thing you could do is say, what about common law? But you can't govern anybody from common law. And at least in the ecclesiastical institution, you have social pressures on women to stay married. You can't offer a man anything like that. Give me a single social pressure you can offer that would actually keep these marriages together. One.
But there's really no difference. She can, like, I think Coach Greg Adams said this before, she can leave that community and still go and pressure him common law. So he's arguing a point that really doesn't make any sense in my purview here, because yes, social pressure from the community, from the religious leaders and even if he's not married and they live together, or even if they're married and live together, he can still go to the state and use the state against him. He can still use the state against him. So I think this argument point here is just, there's no point here to argue about, right? There's really nothing here to argue about.
What?
Either.
What? Just one.
Can I answer something
Yeah.
you just said? This would be interesting.
I
because
can't wait.
You said,
But can you answer that question then?
No, before.
Oh, of
the
course.
1940s.
You gotta ask me a question.
Because listen, I'm listening to you. You asked the question at the end. If you would have asked it at the beginning, possibly I might have been able to address it. But let me address this point.
Okay.
You said the 1940s and 1950s with this imaginary sky daddy controlling marriages. That sounds like enforcement, because by the time the 1970s came around, the very first chance women got to file a no-fault divorce without need for evidence, without need to have a private investigator to prove an affair.
Was no
they
the
did.
70s?
Yes, it was the 70s, started by Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
I'll educate you.
But hang on.
Came along. Hold on for a second. No. I got the floor here. I got the floor. So you said the religious institutions governed it and made it great. The 1970s came along, and as soon as they did,
Feminism.
women started to file divorces at record rates, which is back to my conversation. Soon as you remove the authority of Sky Daddy, now you're back with the state, and now you have difficulty, and now the risk is now greater.
Oh.
So that's the issue that
And it sounds like men should be moving towards Sky Daddy then.
I think Andrew Wilson missed the point. I think Andrew Wilson really missed the point on this one. He's telling you, even if you married under a religion, whatever leader, community, once the state is there, it doesn't matter. She can leave and go to the state and still use the state against you. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying, right?
Because it mitigates the risk.
the courts, the nation should.
There's no
enforce that.
courts.
But how do you enforce that?
What court? What courts? You're not getting a marriage from the state.
This is interesting. It reminds me when Jesus was talking to people and the Pharisees. They were so egotistic, prideful, trying to prove their own point without listening to understand. And this is what's happening here. He's not understanding what he's saying, because he's caught up with just only proving his point. So he's not listening, right? Which is most people. This is most people, because their ego, they're driven by their ego.
Wait, what courts are involved here?
Everything you told me is a make-believe scenario.
How? You can
You're
do it
telling-
right now. How is it make believe?
How do you do that when people,
Here's
the
what you-
marriages do state?
yeah.
I know, you want to go
I'll
back
tell
to
you how.
Ecclesiastics. This
No,
is
I'm
going to be
telling
a
you, you
problem.
can do it right
Okay.
this second.
Okay,
You
can
could go
do it.
do it right now.
You can do it at this particular
can't
point.
do.
However,
What do you mean?
here's the problem.
Okay.
Can you get men to do it?
Yes.
Okay, you might be able to think you can get men to do it, but as soon as they do it, I want you to stick around for the average of 8 to 10 years when these men start getting divorced. See, what you're doing is you're leading.
We've been
Hold on
watching
for a
it for
second.
longer.
You're going to lead men into a burning building.
Oh.
And the reason why, and this is a famous quote by Martin Luther King, is because the laws of integration didn't catch up fast enough for what he wanted for people to integrate. And what happened was it took him 12 to 15 years to realize that he led men or black people into a burning building in which integration was not possible at the time.
Okay.
You are also proposing the same thing. And I would like for you.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Integration. It is right on that, because they force integrate people and it's not working. It's not working. They now, it's more divided than ever that you can think about it, because this race thing just kept getting perpetuated, and it's causing more problems. So forced integration did not work. Anything, it make the situation even worse, because things need to happen naturally and not forced.
I'll stick around to see the results of what you're proposing, because eventually you would have to pay the price. How did Martin Luther King pay the price? You would have to pay the price for the men that you misled.
So Martin Luther misled men, and that's why he was killed?
I said he misled black people. You missed that part. He said,
right,
okay, let me repeat it because you're slow.
I
All right,
am,
you
you're
definitely
right.
are slow, Neanderthal.
That's for sure.
Let me tell you something.
I'm dragging
Martin
this
Luther
over here.
King said specifically,
Yeah.
related to black people and civil rights,
Yeah.
I'll speak slowly for you,
Yeah.
that he believed at the end, he led them into a burning building. I'm going to speak slower. The reason why is because the laws of integration
Yeah.
did not catch up with what he would like to present. Black people weren't ready to integrate. As a result, he said, I may have led my people, that means his people, into a burning building.
Okay.
I would like for you, under your scenario, if your movement takes off,
Yeah.
to see the results, because it took Martin Luther King 12, 15 years to see the results
I understand
of
now.
his efforts.
Yeah.
You're proposing something very extreme that majority of people aren't going to do. But let's just say if, because you like to hide in the clouds of make-believe, if
They did.
this works,
Right.
I would love to see you represent these men in a divorce when they get their head bit off by these so-called women that are forced by Sky Daddy to stay in these
Is
marriages.
it really?
Wow. That's a very, very great point made by Coach Greg Adams. I have to say that. He's right on the money with this one. Because they're going to be forced into these situations and they're going to hate the males and they're going to hate people they're going to judge and they're going to go and the chance they get to be free because they can't see it for themselves, they're not doing by their own will. If there's any such thing called as a free will, because they're not doing it after their free will, they're subjugated under it. It's not gonna work. It's gonna create more problems. Just like he said, like Martin Luther King, force integrate black people into white people, because into these white communities and fight for these white people, fight for these black people to get them into these schools and all of these forced integration into this community, and we're seeing the repercussion of it today. More racism, more fighting against culture, more identity politics. It's ridiculous because black people weren't ready. Black people actually were doing well by themselves. They do unto others that they would want to be done to them. They were striving. They created their own businesses. If someone doesn't want you in their businesses, it's their right. Someone doesn't want you on their bus, it's their right. Create your own buses. Create your own business. Create your own community. Strive, live, and love each other without resenting each other. Understand that it's not them. Something is wrong with them, and do for yourself. And that's what it is. Jesus came and he brought us a new word, a new way to live. Love your enemy. Do unto those that you would want to be done to you. And it's just that simple. Coach Greg Adam, amazing point. Amazing point. Amazing point.
Like, I don't even understand how
You don't understand. I know you have a hard time
I
understanding.
do.
It's funny. Coach Greg Adam has some insight in spirituality. Spirit by given to him here with this point. It's interesting. It's interesting.
I don't actually even understand how to respond to a lot of this because it's so incoherent. But I'm going to try anyway.
Oh yeah, see, this is
let's start-
This is his always incoherent when he understands. Perhaps you don't understand.
This is
that might be
Perhaps you really don't understand. Yeah, he's right about
what
that.
it is, and it's okay to say you don't understand, and I can speak slowly. For
I
you.
don't understand now, but I'm going to
Of
tell you
course.
why. I'm going to
Of
tell you
course,
why.
dismissive.
Coach Greg Adams should say at this point, I'm sorry I couldn't help you. Rebuke him. Rebuke him in the name of Jesus. I'm sorry I could not help you. Because that's what Jesus did. When people go after Jesus Christ, he showed them love and compassion. Because you understand that they can't see, right? They cannot see. And it's okay that you're going to attack him with names and word calling and all of this bamboozle to make him look bad, to make him look bad to the public, to use his word twisted against him and make traps for fools. It's okay. But we're going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. We're sorry we could not help you. And that's it. move on with your day. Simple as that.
I mean,
I'm going to tell you why.
it's okay. When you're losing, just say you're losing, and I can speak.
Let
for
me
you
know when
on
I can
this
talk
part.
and you gas out.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So here's
typical tactic, but you
here's-
can work that against these
Okay, so I still
OnlyFans
can't
girls.
talk.
Hey,
Go
listen,
ahead.
you can work that tactic against those OnlyFans girls that you debate,
Yo,
debating
we're only
23-year-old
like
ignorant women.
28
They're smarter than you.
But
minutes
now
in, that's
they're
crazy.
sitting across from a person.
They're always smarter than you.
Yeah, you're sitting across from a person here.
Oh, no.
That's looking at a Neanderthal, saying you don't understand something very
Well, let me
simple.
know when you gas out.
This
so I
is
can
the
re-
simple.
Okay. Coach Greg Adam, no, you're falling into the trap, man. No, I mean, let me just relax. Cause you're trying to defend your point. You shouldn't try to make people understand your point. If they just don't understand it, maybe you can explain it in a different way, but you're not supposed to force it onto them, right? That's not the way of the word of God. That's not the way of how we should live here on earth, right? People are allowed to live how they want to live, but when you get a gift from God, and there's a way where you should share that gift, right? Just like, Jesus said he wants these people to be the salt of the earth, be the pillars, right? Turn these pillars into salt of the earth, right? Like the example of the Roman soldiers. He said, when they ask you to go a mile, go 3 miles with them. Be the light. Don't fight. Don't be like them.
Simplest thing that you can understand.
Okay.
Your go.
Are you sure?
Please.
I can actually do it this
And
time?
please, put me to sleep.
Okay, so
Put me to sleep.
here's why it's incoherent, and there's a bunch of this I don't understand. You keep on saying that these men are going to get divorced, and yet I'm proposing non-state marriages. How are they going to get divorced? Well, you can only say then via common law. But again, you have no defense yourself against
These are if scenarios.
I don't.
I mean,
I don't.
Please,
I don't-
said I was going to debate somebody
This
that's
is-
going to come.
Why do you
This
keep
is a if
filibustering?
scenario.
Are you?
My question is, let's say you're married. I don't know. I don't know. Let's say you get married. I don't know you get married. That marriage is not under the governor or under the state. If it will end up in court, right? But if you live together, I know that's common law and that can be used against you. So you're not solving any issue there if you're married under the community or under the church or under these religious leaders, because you live with them for a year, depending on which state, they can still use it against you, right? And you have kids, they can still use it against you. So I don't see the point here that Andrew is trying to make. I really don't. I see Coach Greg Adam has a very good point here, right? So it's just what it is, right?
I
Give
let
me a
you
real
speak.
scenario,
I let you
please.
speak the entire time.
Give me something to speak about.
Okay,
You're giving
I'm
me
not
a
asking you to
scenario.
speak, man.
You're trying to invite
Listen.
me to your church.
I'm just
I'm not going to
asking
your
you
church.
to
Please
listen.
give me a real scenario.
You have to shut up long enough for me to
Come
do
on,
it.
please. I've been here 30 minutes waiting for you to do it.
All right.
Give
So,
me a real scenario.
okay, so what I don't understand here, again, and I'm going to ask again, in your incoherent worldview,
Okay, please.
you keep on saying that these men who I propose this to are going to get divorced, but I'm not proposing that they get married through the state. The state's the one who does the divorces. So the only thing you could say is that there's a potential for common law here. But that's something you yourself cannot guard them from by your own admission. The second problem that we have here is that I don't have to stick around for 10 or 15 years because we can look at the numbers right now in religious marriage for what this looks like. And here's what this looks like. If you're a Catholic, you're way less likely to get divorced. And if you're Orthodox, even less likely to get divorced. And it's because of that ecclesiastical structure. You're not ever going to be able to prevent all risk from divorce, not under anything.
Thank you, God. That's
Not-
that's the most realistic
Not
thing
under
you've said all
any,
day.
but not under any system
Correct.
is that going to be the case.
But
And
why
even-
are Catholics
and even-
getting divorced?
and even
How do
if
they
you
get
wanted to,
divorced?
They get annulments. They don't even get divorces,
Okay,
and it's
but
a
how does it-
really long
So
process, and it's rare.
Christians have a similar divorce rate than the secular.
No.
So they have a very close. So how do they get divorced?
I'm gonna
How do
explain.
Christians get?
I want any Christian watching this that are Catholic or whatever you want to call yourself. You're married under religious laws and govern or whatever you want to call it, or you're Christian and married under the state. How happy is that relationship? How happy are you guys in that relationship? You're miserable, right? I bet you're miserable. Your wife controls you. You're trying to make her happy. You're trying to please her, but you can never make her happy, right? You guys fight. And when you fight, she tells you to go sleep on the couch and you have to listen to her. Because you're married to evil. You're married to the devil. Just because she is baptized and she's Catholic and she's religious, you think you're safe. How safe are you? Being miserable in a relationship, trying to please evil, trying to please the devil, and the more you please her, the worse she gets. And you think having more babies with her, or buying nice things, or buying her a car, or taking her out on dates, you think that's gonna fix it. And she only gets worse. Tell me in the comment section, how is that marriage going under your religious beliefs? And you're miserable. You better divorce that bitch. You better divorce her and start working on yourself and find God, because God is not in religion. That's for sure. Oh, Lord, help you.
Tom, if you, I'll answer your question.
Please tell me, because I know how to get divorced.
So if
right
you
into
say-
the divorce court.
Yeah, I know. So because they call it a state marriage.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm proposing that they don't do that, right?
Okay, a land of make believe. If
How's that a man land make believe? You can go fucking do it right now.
tell me what
What are you talking about?
What percentage of people do this particular thing that you're doing, that you're proposing?
Why
What
would that
percent-
matter? Let's say
Why
it's
does it
one
matter?
person.
Okay,
Why would that
it's
matter?
one person. So you're taking a very small chance. You're arguing against me that has millions of people on my
Who are
side.
getting
and
divorced and
millions-
you don't want
But
them
you're
to.
telling me a small 20 people in a little house on the prairie
Yeah.
that do these, that you govern people without electricity and,
Okay.
and you riding horse and carriages.
Yeah.
You're telling me this small percentage of people are going to lead a movement of doing something you're proposing here on YouTube. This is going. How many people are doing this?
Okay. Why would
How
that
many
matter?
It would matter, because
Why?
then we can use some data to determine, do these people end up in divorce?
Well,
Yeah.
we can
More
do it.
than likely.
This
They're
is great
miserable.
because
do
we
it.
can look at the data. So let's.
They might not be getting divorced, but they're miserable. I can tell you that. They're miserable, man. They cry at night. They're one with evil.
Would
look
love
at-
to, please.
Do you want to look at the Catholic data and Orthodox
No,
data
no, no,
for
no,
marriage?
no. We're talking about your ecclesiastic proposal. That's what
is
we're
the
talking about.
This is the
Okay.
ecclesiastical
If
proposal.
we're using Catholic and Christians, their divorce rate tends to be very
No.
close.
I'll look it up.
It's very close. Let's
Not
try to look it up.
Catholic.
Hold on for
What do you want me-
Self-ID'd Christians.
Okay,
Self-ID'd Christians.
Okay.
Self-ID.
Self-ID. No, let's just put Christians.
Christian.
He's like
Christian and Catholic.
You have to
dice
define.
up.
You have
He
to
likes
tell me what a Christian
He likes to
is.
dice up all of these people. And listen. I would love to go to your church one day. I would be a wonderful guest, and I would love to thump the Bible, and I would.
What?
You're gonna pick up my car and shit?
What?
You're gonna come pick up, pick up my car, pick up Lee's present and food and shit?
No,
Okay.
I'm busy.
You busy doing what? Streaming?
love to say a prayer with you.
Uh-huh.
However, this conversation is entering
Can we
into
pull up my screen?
very much a Sky Daddy conversation, which
All right, we got
again, it's about belief.
Brought up Sky Daddy. You.
It's you. You,
Yo,
you
we
brought it up.
We
about
got the divorce rates
ecclesiastic
pulled up right
marriage.
here.
That's not has.
Brought that up.
What is that?
So that is a religious argument.
If you're an
which
atheist, you
people
should
in
be able to
religion-
okay, let's contend with
listen,
that.
A lot of people would
19
not
to
want to do
25.
that. You're telling me a small percentage.
Who
of people want
cares?
to do
We're
this.
talking about
30,
mitigating the
35.
rates of divorce. It
Now,
doesn't matter how many
Can
do
we
it.
move forward from this one? We agree to
There's
disagree.
really
No,
not
we
really
don't
a
agree
big
to disagree. I
difference.
need
So you want to keep it here in
counter-arguments.
your land of make?
I want
believe.
counter-arguments.
I'm not going to argue in your land of make believe.
Yeah,
in the
because you
clouds.
can't.
Because
You have no
because
counter
it's
arguments.
ridiculous.
You
It's
don't have
ridiculous.
one counter argument.
here's a counter argument.
Okay, what is it?
There's no God.
If you're when you're divorced, is it normally recorded or are this just the divorces that made the record? I don't know, right?
In marriage, how many times do I have to say that?
That's an
If you
assertion.
end
It's
up-
not an argument.
If you end up in divorce court, God doesn't matter. None of this matters. That's real. That's the realest argument that you can possibly hear. Soon as
How do you end
Hold
up
on for
in a
second.
divorce court without the state?
Hold on for a second. Hold
How?
on for a second. Hold on for a second. I'm going to tell you how.
Okay.
In the 1940s, which you so love, I don't know why you don't live there. You look like you live there. You're dressed like you live there.
They
Here's
wore
the problem.
hoodies and
Hold on
jeans
for a
in the
second.
40s,
Hold
did they?
on for a second. Here's the problem.
Okay.
These people, under your authoritative, godly marriage,
Yeah.
still got divorced at high rates
No, it
once
didn't.
no-fault divorce showed up. It started at 25%. Then, by the time you get here, it's close to 40 and 50%. It's still prevalent. I'm giving you the reality
That's
here.
not the
You're
reality.
trying to drag me back over here to Little House on the Prairie. It's not working. It's not going to work with me. How about this?
How about a
If
counter
traditional, if
Wait a minute, get
traditional
one of
marriage,
those.
I gave you one.
What?
I mean, come on, man.
What is the
Come on,
counter
man.
argument? Come
Listen,
on, man. It's not a
listen,
counter
listen.
argument. What's the counter argument?
There's no God in marriage, and
That's
divorce
an
court-
assertion, not an
there's no
argument.
God in divorce court.
That's not an
I assert
argument.
that there's no
Okay, well,
God
there
in
is a
divorce
God
court.
in divorce court. Argument defeated.
Exactly.
Argument defeated.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, boy! All right, do you
silly.
need your sandbox outside? Did you miss your toys?
It's just
You not getting
ridiculous.
that?
Like,
Here's a
I
problem.
want an argument.
This is the
here.
absolute argument.
Okay.
You're trying to drag me to church. I'm taking you outside of church. You can't combat it because you want to battle inside the church. I'm not letting you. So let's get back to the
I
state.
don't care if secularists get married.
Let's get back to the state
What do you mean?
and that divorce rate. Did you find out the numbers?
Yeah, I pulled it up earlier, but I'll pull it up again. It's up on the screen. Can you guys see this? Catholic, 19 to 25%. Mainline Protestant, 30 to 35%. Evangelical, 26 to 33.
That's up there.
Now, pull up
That's up there.
Orthodox.
40,
Orthodox.
33, 34, 30. That's pretty high.
Orthodox divorce rate. Let's see.
17 to 20.
I see average 33%.
That's
U.S.
US.
That's
average.
evangelical
adults.
Protestants. That's with the
It says
coalition of
Orthodox
all of
adults
them.
ever divorced 17 to 20. U.S.
Yes.
average 33%.
Yeah, so they're much lower.
It says in the U.S. 33%. The
They're
Orthodox ever divorced, that's worldwide.
Yeah, they're much lower rates.
Okay, but you're saying that they can't get divorced. That's what you said.
No, bro.
You said, is that what you said?
The whole point
said
here
they
is
can't
how
get
do
divorced
we
because you're
mitigate the
enforcing
risk
them.
of divorce? You can't ever completely mitigate it.
30%.
It can't ever be completely mitigated, but you can mitigate the risk of divorce.
Okay, great.
It is lower. They're
Much
saying-
lower. Much lower.
Okay, all right. So a chance of getting hit 30% versus 44%. This doesn't defeat the argument. Those
It does defeat
divorces,
the argument.
Those divorces happen in the court of law because no divorce cannot be
right.
reported in
So
not
this
that's
is
not in
great.
the court of law.
Actually,
Interesting.
So what is the divorce
Yeah.
that happens outside of the court of law? If it's 33%
Mm-hmm.
in the court of law with your Orthodox ecclesiastic marriage, what is it outside?
Even
What is
lower.
it within that?
it's even lower.
Okay, so add that 10%.
yes. No,
Now we're at 40%.
No, you wouldn't
And
add
if-
that. You wouldn't add 10%.
That's the legal
What are you-
divorce.
Would you not add 10% to that? I'm confused, right? Isn't that the number? One is in law and one is not in law, right? So, okay, let's see
Talking
what he
Hold on
has
for a
to
second. When you say a divorce, those are reported divorces legally. That means these people filed in the legal reported system. That's 30+%.
And that's what Andrew's trying to take away, right? He's trying to mitigate that law over the marriage, right? The law, right? But even though they're Orthodox Catholic, they still end up in the law, right? Interesting.
Okay. You said there would be more that were outside of the door.
No, less.
Outside of the state.
Less.
No, hold on for a second.
Less.
There's additional outside of the marriage, outside of the state.
No.
Oh, there's none?
Well,
So you're saying there's
no,
zero.
Not really.
What are you saying?
Okay, so let me explain.
Please.
So that you understand.
Additional to the 33%.
But you have to, can you at least let me finish this time?
Please do it because you're slow.
So if it's the case you're in an ecclesiastical marriage, you're still adding usually the state. These people are all adding the state, okay? The Catholics themselves, if you were to look at their annulments rate from the ecclesiastical authority, it's actually much lower than even the percentage that you're getting from the state because they add the state in, which means some people will ignore the ecclesiastical authority and get divorced anyway.
That's exactly what I've been telling
So
you.
what's the point? What was the point, right?
Nobody ever
Then what-
argued that.
Exactly. But so
We're
how do
arguing
you
about
mitigate? You're saying
mitigating the risk. Mitigating the
Like this.
risk.
Was it really mitigating the risk, or was the question, is marriage worth it today? Was it mitigating the risk? Like, I'm lost now because they were going on a bunch of different nonsense that doesn't really matter from what I was listening to, and now it's mitigating the risk, or was it marriage worth it? Right? I'm lost now. What was actually the question, right?
Still a risk.
No, it would mitigate the risk.
So the risk is slightly lower.
Much lower.
Okay, that's not that much lower.
It's
The
much
divorce rate is
lower.
40%. You're talking about 33% to 43%.
No, we're not. We're talking about 20% to 35 to 40%.
Okay, so that's lower.
Yes.
Okay, that's all you got. Now, here's
That's
the
all I
problem.
need.
That's not all you need because there's still risk. How do you?
Nobody
at this particular
said
point-
there wouldn't be risk.
Exactly.
You
So
can't
at this
mitigate
particular
risk
point-
for anything 100%. It's not possible.
Exactly. So now why are we telling men to get married?
Because you have to, because everything is a cost-benefit analysis. Your issue's not marriage. Your issue is with mitigating
at
the risk.
this point it's not marriage.
It's
This is the only
mitigating-
hold on for a second. Can I say this?
Oh my God.
You're
Can you
Hold
ever
on for a
stop saying something so I
Hold
can
on,
say
listen.
something?
at this particular point. listen,
Okay, I'm listening.
You're telling me from this point, we haven't even got to the entire marriage because you're still over in the land of make believe. We haven't even got to the other issues
What's
of marriage.
make-believe?
Hold on for a second. We still haven't got to the other issues of marriage.
I'm willing to
So
get to
you're
everything.
telling me about the mitigation risk, and we've wasted too much time on it. Can we talk about the other issues of marriage?
Well,
Which are
okay.
sexless
Can we
marriage.
at least wrap this up? or
Yeah,
maybe-
let Andrew finalize this. And then
Yeah,
we'll
so
talk about
the thing is like, the problem is you said it was a great institution. If you say it's a great institution, even when it was a great institution, people were still getting divorced. So if that's the case, what you're really after is just mitigating risk. And I'm giving you a perfect way to mitigate risk, right? And the fact of the matter is that it is becoming more and more popular to do it this way. Prenup plus ecclesiastical authority almost mitigates your risk entirely, except for common law, but you can pick the state to live in for that. And you, by your own logic, can't defer from common law either. You can't protect men from that. So the thing is like, you can't have it both ways. You can't agree marriage is good and the backbone for the West and you really like it and it's fucking great and it's a great institution, but also don't do it because it's make-believe that you can mitigate risk even though you can right this second. That's insane.
Listen,
All right, final
I'm
point.
listening.
final point. Let's get to the other risks that are associated with it. We got that.
That's
we
not a
tackled
final
that.
point on this.
That is a-
Make the final point and then
Listen,
go.
listen.
I don't. You going into a marriage already knowing that you're gonna get divorced. You're going there. You're setting up all these rules. You're setting up all these rules so you don't get taken out. That you don't get taken out. You're living in fear. You're being driven. You're being driven by fear. You're getting married out of fear. And you're setting up boundaries and all these things out of fear. You already know that you're gonna be with a woman that doesn't love you, doesn't care about you, and she's just with you for what you have. And once you stop worshiping her, once you stop taking care of her, once you stop doing what makes her happy, you're gonna get destroyed. And that's why you're setting yourself up so it doesn't happen to you. So why are you getting married? Why are you getting married? You're gonna go in a relationship with prenup and all of this stuff. She's gonna judge you. It's off rip. She hates you. You hate her. She hates you. There's no love, right? This is not from God, not one bit. You're setting up all these Christian religious boundaries and structures around it so you can control her, so she doesn't destroy you. This is just a waste of debate time, right? It's
I'm a grown man. I'm not 22-year-old
Waste.
OnlyFans. I'm going to say what I want to say. Listen to this. At this particular point,
You got
we're
me
moving
on that
forward.
one.
Listen, we're moving forward.
Okay, we're moving
At
forward.
this point, what are the other risks that we want to guard against? We got the divorce. You're going to put them on the ecclesiastic paperwork. Less people are doing that. Not a lot of people know how to do it. He just got married. He didn't do it. All right. I can almost guarantee.
Probably not.
Exactly.
So what?
So now, less people are going to do this. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of men are going to prepare themselves to do that.
Change that.
Exactly. So that would be
I
a
agree.
very tough scenario,
try to
and
change it.
most likely it's not going to happen moving forward.
Okay.
There are other issues in marriage
Okay, let's
that
get to 'em.
typically, if depending on what authority you go under, are still a risk for men. Yes, it's great for the backbone, but a lot of men are in sexless marriages. A lot of women are in sexless marriages. The percentage of affairs in marriages are still a big issue. That can't be addressed.
Oh.
Those risks are going to be tough. And now you have an issue because now whoever's your authority has to mitigate that risk. Now all of a sudden they have to govern or socially pressure the women, and that's going to be difficult to do. 20%, 30% of sexless marriages, 20, 30% of people having affairs. This is not the intent of people who get married. So yes, we have the divorce. We set that aside. Now, what about within the marriage? How do you mitigate the risk for that? I'm assuming you're going to have the ecclesiastic come through the home and force the wives to fuck their husbands.
Oh, that's quite the straw man. But
I'm assuming.
That's a heavy word. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't expect that one. Oof.
I'll go ahead and answer. Actually, the ecclesiastical authority does mitigate against this, and here's my proofs. Proof one. If it is the case that you get married to a woman who's a virgin, but she's a virgin because she's a Christian, hang on, let me get through the entirety of the arguments before you start freaking out. If it is the case,
Virgin.
your chances of that marriage ending, very, very, very small, one. And two, they report that they have a happier sex life. This is actually the case with the decrease in body count, which generally comes with the more religious people, meaning the more that you take your religion seriously, the more that you pray, the more that you engage in that whole ecclesiastical authority thing, the less likely it is you step out of your marriage, significantly less likely. The less likely it is that you end up in a sexless marriage. You know why? Because there's a reinforcement in Christianity that men and women are not allowed to deprive each other of that, of sex, when it comes to marriage. And you...
So Christianity is a control mechanism. Christianity is a control thing. Interesting. Just like the Pharisees. Oh Lord, what a mess. What a mess are we looking at here, huh? This is a mess. They're just using it to control people at this point. Interesting.
You find that people who follow the traditional faith generally don't. And so
Listen, you're married to your husband. You better give him sex, right? That's why he's married to you, so he can have sex with you. How is that a marriage? How is that even love? I tell you, they're just fighting for control over women. It's interesting, right? They've made the woman their god. They're only marrying a woman so they can have sex. And they think that is love. That's crazy.
yes, the ecclesiastical authority preaches that from the pulpit. Sorry, lady, you gotta fuck your husband. That's part of God's law. Yeah.
That's not part of God's law. I don't know where in God's law that is, but maybe I missed it. But these words they're using is crazy, though. That's my fault, guys. Sorry about that.
What do you got for him? Go out and just fuck everybody? What
That's an interesting
what are
leap.
you going
That's
to
an
do
interesting leap.
to mitigate? By the way, you're at the mercy of the same criticism. You can't mitigate guys' girlfriends from fucking around on them any more than you could a person's wife. You can't mitigate them stepping out on them. You can't mitigate them treating them like shit. You can't do anything. At least I have a mitigation. You have nothing. You have nothing. Just liberal degeneracy. Give me something you could do that would give any kind of fail-safe against this. One thing.
I don't know what communities you live in, but your church pastor is going to be very busy.
You can't control these female, buddy. If they want to do it, they're going to do it. Nothing you can do about it. They're going to find ways to go and do it. So I don't know why you're talking about mitigating it. That's crazy.
In all of these bedrooms, preventing divorce and enforcing women to sleep with their husbands. Now, the first leap of faith that you have, hold on for a second. Oh, I heard you. The first leap of faith is virgin. Okay, if we look at the stats, please pull up the stats of how many women qualify as a virgin.
On virginity.
You said
That's
virginity.
the
I'm just
baseline.
letting you know. You brought it up.
In America?
In America, what women
I'm going to be surprised at this number. That's for sure.
percentage qualify as virgins? All right, so you're gonna say very few. So you know this.
7% age 22 to 34.
7%.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you know what?
So now we have
7%. I think I think it's lower than that. That's very low. It's lower than that. I don't think there's virgins anywhere. I don't think that exists.
Do you know what a baseline for an argument is?
that was the baseline.
Yeah,
You want to
so
say now? Do we want to
the
increase
base-
the body count?
Yeah,
I mean, because
yes,
if you're looking,
that was the whole point of the baseline of the argument.
So right now, if we can pull up how many women in Gen Z, because this is marital age women, would have a body
That's
count
not the only
lower than 5.
No,
because
millennials
now
are also marriageably aged. What do you mean?
okay, millennials, younger millennials, okay, because there's no point in older people getting married. They're not procreating. All right, they're gonna have 1 or 2 kids.
Older
That doesn't
people
help
do
us.
procreate.
Not that much. All right. They're going to have one or two kids. All right. Listen, it said in the Bible, in your Bible, it says be fruitful and multiply, not add. All right. We're not adding one little autistic kid.
It's interesting when God says be fruitful and multiply. I think they're thinking about having kids. But is that what that really means? Right? Let's pull up that verse actually. So let's get some context behind this. I'm gonna use ChatGPT. Give me a second. Be fruitful and multiply. New Jerusalem Catholic Bible, Genesis 1.28. God blessed them, saying to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Full scripture. God blessed them, saying to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Be masters of the fish and the sea and the birds of the heaven and all of the living creature that move upon the earth. Interesting. More. Full context. God said, let us make man in our image, in the likeness of ourselves, and let them be masters of fish and the sea and the bird of the heavens and cattle and all the wild animals and all the creatures that creep along the ground. God created man in his image. 27. God created man in his image. God created man in the image of himself. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, saying to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Be masters of the fish and sea and of the heavens and all the living creatures that move upon the earth. God said also, look to you I give all the seeds bearing plant everywhere on the earth of the earth, and all the trees with the seed bear fruit. It will be your food. Wow. And all the wild animals and all the birds of heaven and all the creatures that creep up along the ground, I gave all the fugile of the plants as their food. And so it was. God saw all he made, and indeed he was very good. And God saw all he had made, and indeed it was very good. Evening came and the morning came, and the sixth day. Interesting. God said, let us make man in our own image, in likeness of ourselves, and let them be masters of fishes and sea. God blessed them, saying to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Be masters of the fish and sea, the birds of heaven, and all living creatures that move upon the earth. I don't fully understand what that means. God bless them, saying to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it. Be fruitful, multiply. You cursed the fig tree and said it will never multiply. Oh, I understand now. I understand. So it's interesting that he says, be fruitful and multiply. It doesn't mean children. It doesn't mean having children and multiply. He doesn't mean that actually. Bear good fruit. Bear good fruit. That's for sure. Bear good fruit. And even if you have children, bear good fruit. It doesn't mean just have kids. Bear good fruit. Interesting. Multiply upon the earth. Bring good on the earth, man. Bring good on the earth. That's what that means. It doesn't mean just have kids. You're gonna have kids and they're not gonna be good. Where's the good fruit? Because a lot of people have kids and they're not good fruit. Right? They can't multiply the image of God. God says we make them in our image, in our likeness, in our self. And he says, go be fruitful and multiply. So you have to be in his image, in his nature, for you to bear good fruit and multiply it. But if you're not of his nature, not of his image, you can't bear good fruit and you can't multiply. That's what that means.
Have a body
That's
count
not the only
lower than
marriage-
5.
No,
because
millennials
now
are also marriageably aged. What do you mean?
okay, millennials, younger millennials, okay, because there's no point in older people getting married. They're not procreating. All right, they're gonna have 1 or 2 kids.
Older
That doesn't
people
help
do
us.
procreate.
Not that much. All right, they're gonna have 1 or 2 kids. All right, listen. It said in the Bible, in your Bible, it says be fruitful and multiply, not add. All right, we're not adding one little autistic kid. We're multiplying.
That would be
All right?
multiplying.
It wouldn't be multiplying.
Yes,
Having
it would.
one little bread
If
ass
you have
kid.
3 and you have 1 more, that's
All right,
multiplying.
multiplying by 1. All right, that's
So
not the answer.
multiplying.
Okay, listen. We're multiplying
Okay.
by multiples. You know what I'm talking about. Now listen.
Yeah, that is a
you
multiple
want,
that
the,
we're
hold on for a
multiplying
second. Hold on
by.
for a second. You want to convince me
Uh-huh.
that there's going to be women of low body count in this secular world we live in to make your scenario
They're
work,
more
to
likely to-
enforce women to have sex with their
They're gonna
husband
be more
from the
like-
pulpit.
Yeah.
Do you see? This is very strange.
Well, I have all
from
the
a
data
secular
to back
person.
my. Show
Well,
me
from a
any-
very small percentage. I mean, it works in a podunk town. I don't
Doesn't
know where
just
you're
work in
from.
podunk town.
We're talking about the metropolises. We're talking about major
And
cities.
how is your
And you're talking
plan
about
going to mitigate
virginity.
that? How is your
I
plan
asked
going to
you-
mitigate
remember,
that?
I don't know if you remember. I asked you. All right.
And I
This is
told
the question
you.
and you came back with virgins. And
No.
you came back with
God.
enforcing sex
Why
from
do
the
you only get
pulpit.
half the argument. That's why you can't respond to my arguments. So let's do it again. If you want
Please.
to mitigate,
Force women to have lower body
You're
counts.
not, dude. How's it force?
Go ahead.
How's it force?
You're the one enforcing sex.
How
to
is
the
it?
husband.
How?
You
How are we
enforce
using
sex-
force?
How are you enforcing sex to the
Through
husband from the
social,
pulpit?
through social pressure, doofus. The same way you would with
Okay,
everything.
Gentlemen, your wife is going to have sex with you because a church reverend enforced her to have sex with you.
Do you think?
Okay.
She's gonna hate you for that. She's gonna hate the reverend. She's gonna hate herself. And she's gonna become more evil. There's nothing good that will come from that. God is not in that. That is not of God. That is not of God. That's insane. That's some insane rhetoric right there. And all in the name of Jesus. All in the name of God. All in the name. All in the word. It's in the word. That's crazy.
Please pull up the chat.
Yeah, pull
His
the shit.
suggestion is to have a church reverend enforce you
They're
to
not
have burning
enforcing it.
desire to have sex with your
Enforce requires force. Enforce is a derivative of force. You can't enforce absent force. No one's saying force.
This is how your sex is going to be had in his marriage.
Uh-huh.
It's through enforcement through the religious pulpit.
No, it's gonna
I mean,
be
this
the
is
idea-
2025,
if it's
and we're
the
still here
idea-
somewhere on Little House on the Prairie.
If it's the idea,
I would love
that
to have
women
this reality.
If it's the idea that women have and men have both, that they're not supposed to deprive each other from this, because that is how they live the life of a Christian. The case of the matter is that they try to keep themselves sexually appealing to the partner. They try to keep themselves moving towards that state where they're found appealing. That's part of that. Why do you think? And by the way,
Interesting. Let's pull up a verse. Let's pull up this verse for this talk. There's this verse that came to mind. I need full scripture. Okay, it says Matthew 10:33, New Jerusalem Catholic Bible. Anyone who prefers father or mother to me is not worthy of me. Anyone who prefers sons or daughter to me is not worthy of me. Understand that? You put wife, you put children, sons, daughter, mother, father above God. You're not worthy of him. You will not be able to see, and you will not be able to help you through your life, because you have put other gods above him. You've put your husband above him. You've put the children above him. You've put your wife above him. Those are your gods. You put money, cars, lifestyle, you put all of that above God, and because of that, you're not worthy of him. And you will never be able to help you. You will never be able to see, because you're separated from God. So all this fighting about this stuff makes no sense in the end when you look about it. Because you're making your treasure on earth. You're making your treasure into people instead of making your treasure into God, into heaven. It's crazy. This is crazy talk right here from Andrew. I'm not gonna lie, crazy.
Hey, you keep saying force. Can you demonstrate anywhere that I said that there would be any force involved with any of this, or that it's even necessary? Enforce is force.
Correct. That's what. So I was
So
correct.
where
I
is
think
the force? Where?
You tell me. You're the one.
You're
that's gonna
asked the
say-
question.
Wait, you're the one that told me the church reverend is going to come and force marriage.
No,
and sex.
when?
You said that earlier.
No.
You did.
I said the
Enforcement from
ecclesiastical
the pulpit-
authority
from the
uses
pulpit.
social pressure.
Social pressure.
That's
to
not
make your
force.
wife
What's the
fuck
difference?
your husband.
What's the
No,
difference?
you're not making
So
them
that's-
do anything.
Okay,
Yes,
to
you are.
encourage them to fuck. Their
Yeah.
Okay, this.
Don't
What's
you
the
encourage people's wives to fuck them?
What's the difference? What's the difference?
I don't need to be in their bedrooms that much.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
mean, if
force her to
somebody,
do anything. Listen, I
somebody
can't
called
force
you-
a woman to do
if
very
a woman
much.
called you and said, "I don't sleep with my husband. He seems angry at me," would you encourage him or her to sleep with him?
I wouldn't encourage her to do anything, especially with
You
me.
wouldn't
I don't
encourage
mess
her
with.
to
I
do
don't. I don't mess with married women. That's their
Brilliant.
business. I
So
mean,
your
that's their
solution
business.
is
That's their-
fucking nothing. Nothing.
My solution is very clear.
What is it?
You're telling me at this particular point that you're going to enforce through social pressure. Social pressure.
That's not
Hold on for a
force.
second. Social
There's no
pressure
enforcement.
enforces. Social pressure enforces women to be very promiscuous at this particular point.
Uh-huh.
Now, you're talking about 70% of the population, or better, maybe 10, that are going to fall under this category, and this is going to lead a wave of women sleeping with their husband through social pressures, when social pressure quite tells them the opposite. Let me move. Let me.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about at this point.
Exactly. It's very
Interesting
difficult.
point.
I know.
It is
It's very
very
difficult
difficult.
for you. I know exactly, and very nice tactic. But listen,
It's not a tactic. I really
These are
am trying my hardest
you're,
to understand.
You're taking a very small scenario to make it the large scenario. When I'm telling you the larger scenario is the reality, and you're telling me
Both are
if
reality.
I do this, if I do that.
No,
this is
so
a
are
very
you.
small percentage.
You're doing the same
I'm
thing.
telling you about
if
what's
you get
happening.
married, you may get a
No, I
divorce.
said
You
when.
may- if this
Guys, I really may have to do a two-part on this one, right? Because I have somewhere to be soon, right? But this is crazy.
happens, then this may happen.
We already looked at the statistics of it likely happening.
Yeah, no,
So that is likely to happen.
First of all, even the
Did you
statistics you
pull up
looked
the
at,
statistics again?
pull up
The marriage
statistics
statistics, the
for the
divorces.
Christians. It's actually not likely, is it?
In the United States, overall in the United
Yeah,
States. So
that-
it only in order for it to work, you have to be white.
You need to break
make a
this
certain
down by
income. Hold on for a
demographics.
second. You need. Of
You want me to
course.
break it down?
So
and social
so you want to go.
economics.
You want to go. In order for your marriage to work, they have to be white, Christian.
They don't have to be white.
Make money,
No.
and then also probably live in a certain region.
If it's the
now,
case,
what if that's
that-
not
yeah.
the case? Because
Yeah.
in the United States, I don't know where
That's crazy.
you live, but in the case
Then we use
hills,
the apparatuses.
If you take the rest of the United States, they're highly not that. That is outside of those demographics.
And don't you wanna
what if
change
they're-
that?
What if they're outside of that?
Don't
What
you
if they're
wanna-
not white and Christian?
don't you wanna
What if
change
they're
that?
not Christian to make 100K? What do you suggest then?
Yeah, so here's what I would suggest. If it's the case that in the black community, you have more divorces than in the white community, there's going to be contributing factors for why that is. I don't think that black people are just ontologically different than white people, do you? Do you just believe that at their core they're just ontologically different, or do you think that they're the same? Because if that's the case, if we're equal people, and equal people groups, then there must be some other social factors which are relating to this that increase the divorce rate in the black community that doesn't exist yet in the white community. If that's the case, we would specifically target those issues to prevent that from happening, right? We're going to do this across, we're going to do this across the board. Well,
What would they be?
for the black community, there's a bunch. One, you have a distinction in economic certitude. The second one is you had a massive abortion rate, which is super problematic. Another one is you use matriarchal structures in the family home instead of patriarchal. Huge issue that you have. By the way, when it was Christian-based, didn't happen. It was a patriarchal structure inside those black homes. And boy, they didn't put up with shit. Not the case anymore. So you have multiple factors here which need to be addressed. I agree with that. Nobody ever disagreed with that, though. What we're trying to do is look at the mitigation of risk. And even for the black community,
We handled that already.
if the black community moves in to these conventionally traditional churches, they still will have the same ecclesiastical authority, which will assist them in governing their marriage that white people would have, and it would still assist with the mitigation of risk. What's the alternative? It's just degeneracy, right?
Interesting. So they're just shifting from one identity to another, trying to feel good or to look good or to seem somewhat good, to somewhat change. So a showcase personality, because it's not going to do anything. It's going to still cause the same problem, because I know a lot of people that goes to church and they're still crazy. They still have the same issue that they're dealing with. They still have stress. They still have money problem. They have doubt. They have worries. They're still cheating, even though they show you this personality, so you can judge them and think they're good people. But yet, they have the same underlying issues. There's no difference there.
The alternative is just like, well, just hump them and never get married. Well, what good does that do for blacks?
But I do have to agree that there's not male leaders in these relationships. And even though the fathers may be in the white relationship, the fathers may in the black relationship, the fathers may be around, they may make the most money, they're taking care of their family, still the same problems. There's no difference, because money doesn't solve the spiritual issues that is happening in these families. The males are still weak, the males are still subject to their female, they're still worshiping the female, and the female have made the devil their god. And they're saying, all in the name of Jesus and all these things. They listen to the woman. And anytime you listen to the woman, you shall suffer for it. You shall suffer, because you won't die. You won't let go and die. You're feeding her ego, which is crazy.
What good does that do? It just leads to more abortion. It just leads to more degeneracy. It leads to high crime rates, and the single motherhood's out of control. So, like, what are you doing to prevent any of that?
The
Nothing.
single mothers is out of control. But it's the mother that caused the single mother to be out of control. And it's the single mother caused these males to be hunting these women and making them single mothers. So it's interesting. Isn't that interesting? And especially the Christian females. They destroy these girls and boys because of the ego of the mother. Because of her will, because of the evil that controls her.
Nothing. Tell me what? What?
Okay, thank you. You said things that people have known for the past 45 years,
You
but I
didn't answer the
appreciate that.
question.
Hold on for a second. Thank you for contributing to a common conversation that people know, but you offer no other solution. That's great. Now, here's a problem. Here's a problem with this. It's an if scenario. That would be great if we can go back to this. It would be great if we can go back and look at and say that blacks, when they were in the 40s and 50s, they had more stable relationships and marriages than even white folks. Here's the issue.
Okay.
Why stop at the 40s? Let's talk about 1863.
Okay.
Your tradition seems to always hit this point of 1940s where you shine this light of traditionalism that you've never lived in, that seems to be in a snapshot of something that you don't even know about. Then when I fast
You're not
forward
even saying anything, dude.
again, you're not listening. When I fast forward to 1970, when it falls all apart with no fault divorce, based on what I've been arguing, what happens? All that traditionalism falls apart. Why don't we take it further? Why don't we take it back to bride prices? I mean, how far in tradition you're going to go? You're only going to bang your head around 1940 and 50 because you watched a couple of movies and I Love Lucy episodes? That's not tradition.
Okay.
That was a snapshot in history that you're trying to achieve again.
So
take it back further. There's
Okay.
no marriages in
Fine.
the black community.
let's say we'll take it. Let's say we take it all the way back to the 1700s. Let's just say, just for the sake of it, right? And that I'm totally wrong about all this, just for the sake of argument. Let's just say, what is your prescription to deal with any of those issues when you're telling men in the black community to not get married? How is that going to assist with abortion? How's that going to assist with strong fathers in the home? How's that going to assist with the only demographic population which can't reproduce itself? How? Can you give me a single prescription to any of that?
Let me tell you something. I agree with you on this.
I just want a prescription, dude.
There's a problem. I agree with you. And listen, if you had any ability to provide this prescription better than Louis Farrakhan or Martin Luther King,
Does that mean no?
Well, give me a second. Listen to me. These men have tried to pretty much heal this issue, and they haven't.
No, they
so
didn't.
Andrew Wilson certainly not to. Neither will CGA. So I don't have a prescription
That's
for the black
right.
community.
Interesting. No one has a prescription for this or how to deal with the problem. But Jesus had the solution to these problems. He came, he taught us, he showed us the example that all of this thing that is happening on earth is caused by us, the false self, the ego, the not you. And he told you what to do. He told you what to do. Seek first the kingdom of God in his right way, and everything else will be added to you. But you think you know what you want. You think you have your own will. You think you can do things your way. You have a plan. This is how it's going to go. And all you're doing is bringing hell on earth. That's all you're doing. Because all you're doing is thinking of yourself, and all you're doing is being controlled by the evil that is inside of you. Because you're unconscious. That's it. But he told you, stay present with him. Seek first the kingdom of God in his right way. And that's the only thing that you need to do. And everything else will be added onto you. Everything else will be made clear to you. And that's it. That's the way. That is the way. The way have been made for you. But you want a woman. You want a family. You want all of these things. And all it does is cause you a mess.
Because
That's
the
right.
black community is pretty much doomed at this particular point. They have too much degeneracy. They have single mother rates at the 70 and 80%.
black
But I'm going to tell you
shit.
something. You want to come in here and tell me something about Ecclesiastics, and you're telling me about the reality of the black community, how to fix it. Nobody's been able to fix that community. So there's nothing you can do, and I can't offer any solution for that.
Yeah, the black people are out of control. They're immoral. They're driven by anger. And they think their problem is white people, and they blame everyone else for their problem, which they're victims. And a victim is a dangerous person. All they need to do is go and forgive. They need to forgive their father and mothers, especially their mothers, for imposing their will onto them. And they'll be free. They'll be one with the Father again. They'll be one with the Father. That's it.
Look,
Now,
is
at
it-
that particular point, you're saying the risk is higher. It certainly will be higher under those matriarchal conditions. So you get no argument from me there. So at that point, where's your statistics lie then?
well,
Where's your solution then?
I'll tell you again. So I'm glad
He's
that-
going to solve the community problems here. I'd love to hear this.
listen again. I'm not saying
The black
that-
community problems
Yeah,
solved
yeah.
by Andrew Wilson.
Yeah. That says the guy who literally just
would
got
love to
done
hear
saying,
this.
I have
love to hear
zero prescriptions.
Because nobody does.
Yeah,
that
no,
community
it's
is
the
here.
thing.
But I would love to hear
Here's
the
the
black
thing.
community solved by Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, so let me tell you a bunch of things that can be done which will help mitigate these
please
issues.
do. Please
the
do.
first is
that you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Not some
That can
some
be-
pipe dream.
that can be accomplished.
Here we go.
That can be accomplished politically and already are beginning to be accomplished politically. The first is you have to outlaw abortion. You have to. It has to be outlawed. And not by state where you can just go to the next state and do another abortion, right? One of the biggest problems with promiscuity in the black community is that they use abortion as a form of birth control. Same problem that you see in the white community, by the way. It's just more prevalent in the black community. The next problem that you have there is the lack of religiosity, where there used to be a really strong core religious base of based black men. And they were patriarchal, very patriarchal. And the thing is that It's the idea of these feminist bra-burning lunatics that told black women not to be under the evil patriarchy of their men. And yet, at this point, the men are rolling over and allowing the matriarchy to take over in their own community. Is a return to traditional church ethics going to assist that? Of course it will. Of course it will. How do I know? Because it did then, just a few short years ago. I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about 60 years ago.
But this is interesting because women fight for these rights. The male give it to them because they're scared of telling women what it truly is. Go sit down, shut up, get in the kitchen, make meal, and take care of the kids. Right? The males are scared of telling women this because they need to get something from a woman. They need love, they need attention, they need sex. So they're weak to these females and can't tell them the truth because they've made the woman their god. And Andrew Wilson fall no short of this. Why does he have his wife on these podcasts talking to these females, trying to lead females? Why? I just don't get it, right? Here you are saying get back to this biblical principle, but why is your wife out here preaching and trying to lead females? I don't get it, right? Why do we have women in politics when these women are being driven by their ego, by evil, the hatred for male, and the authority that God give males? God, Christ above man, man above woman, woman above child. Why do women need the role of the male? Why do they hate males for the role that was given to them by God? Because they hate males. And if you hate males, you hate God. How can you love God that you have never seen but hate the male figure and your father that you have seen? How can you know God? The hatred is so strong, it's ridiculous. And the males give in to these females. Why do we have this happening? And yet you guys want to solve this problem, but yet you can't solve the problem because you yourself as the male is not right. You're not right. You can't tell these women the truth because you're scared of them. You're scared of your mama that impose on you that you need to forgive so you can be right and do right and seek only kingdom of God in his right way so you can be right, so you can lead right. How are you going to lead right? Huh?
By the way, there's other things that you can do too. Getting rid of EBT, getting rid of social programs which are designed to keep people dependent. These are all things which can be politically accomplished. Just like abortion, the starting of banning that was politically accomplished in our lifetime. And
I can agree that the capitalist system is used to do a bunch of evil stuff. Support abortion because your taxpayer money. Support EBT because people are lazy and the government wants to be your mama, so you depend on them, so you keep them in power. And you vote for them because you want free stuff. You don't realize that you're not free. They own you. And they're using the hard-working money, taxpayers' dollars, to feed these crazy people. And once you stop feeding these crazy people, they will turn against you because they're victims. The government turned them into babies, to little children. The government have become their mother. The mother overprotect them, don't let them go out in the world and fend for themselves and see the world so they can help the economy or help the greatest country on this side of heaven, Canada, and the United States to keep growing and being the best. They're trying to destroy the country. They have no love. These people have no love for Canada or the United States. They're only out for themselves, and they're evil. Evil driving them to destroy the country. That's what's happening. It's crazy.
the thing is like, You have no prescriptions. Fuck, at least I'm trying here, man.
Man, Andrew, you are Captain Obvious. This is the
Well,
obvious
then why didn't you
prescription.
obviously? Then why didn't you obviously state it as a prescription?
Because people have exhausted the means to be able to do this. Trust me, there have been people way better than you that dress better than you and shave their beard better
whatever.
than you that can do this,
Yeah.
and they haven't been able to accomplish it. You
So
have the
therefore-
Democratic
okay.
Party that is highly influential. 92% of black women voted for Democrats. That's also possibly where most of those women go to church. Most of black churches are overwhelmingly women. It's a woman's club, and you're telling me about
Not
something
traditional
completely obvious that everybody has pointed out for 25 years. You're not giving me anything new. This is a completely obvious scenario, and you believe that you've enlightened me over here, and you're waiting for me to give you a solution. Let me tell you
It's
something.
not about changing your mind.
You certainly would never do that. Now, at this particular point here, the unsettling experience that men experience in divorce. All right, you're saying you're just going to mitigate it or eradicate it. What about the small percentage of men that experience it and go through issues like high levels of self-deletion, high levels of them not being able to recover financially ever? They're still going to experience this under your scenario. This doesn't disappear.
It'll
What
never
prescription do you have for those men that went to your marriage and they got divorced? 33%. What do you do
Well,
with
no, it's
these
not
men?
33%
Okay,
was
20%, 30%. It still was at a high rate.
I think it would
what
even be
prescription
lower than that.
You would hope so. You would hope so. But hope is not a strategy.
Okay, I got 2 hours to work on this. 2 more hours. Then I have to bounce. But I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. All right. Give me a break, guys. Let me go see if I can grab something real quick, okay? I need to eat something. Okay. All right.
Strategy. What hold on for a second. What scenario do you have for men that you led into the burning building when they experience separation from their children, parental alienation, high levels of self-deletion?
Yeah.
What prescription do you have, sir, that you
Interesting
sold?
question.
Yeah,
Have
it's a
all
great
you
question.
have all the answers. Please enlighten us.
Yeah,
What
so-
you're going to do with these men?
so-
Are you going to enforce them to have sex
Yeah,
with
yeah.
other virgins that
I'll
you have
answer-
on the sideline?
I'll answer the question, but I want to make a deal with you that if I answer this last question of yours, that you'll actually answer when I ask you after that. Is that
Listen,
a
we're
deal?
not in a court of law. I don't have to answer anything. I can state something.
Yeah, I know,
and
but I'm
then
asking
go
you if we
back
can
and
make a
forth.
deal. That if I
I'll
answer this
consider
question, you'll answer
answering
my
the
next.
question that you asked me. I'll consider
So we're not
it.
going to make a deal on that?
I don't have to make a deal. Listen,
You don't
I'll
have to.
consider
I'm asking if
answering
you will.
something. Possibly. So go ahead.
Possible. Okay, well then I possibly will hold the debate hostage until you possibly make a deal with
All
me.
right, great. So that gives me the floor.
So we'll just sit here and
They
stare at
can
each
go
other,
for it.
or we
Well,
just
here's the deal.
filibuster each other. Like
At this particular point,
so.
you don't want to.
so I can
you wanna
answer-
answer it. You want to
Yeah,
answer it.
but you're not
You
going to
wanna
answer. But you're not going to answer mine. I just want that clear. You're not going to answer mine after. You're just going to filibuster
answered
and
the
stonewall
question.
again.
I ask you the question. Put it on the
Yeah.
table.
So this is pretty simple, right? What you're proposing here. Every policy prescription which is made anywhere in any nation, with any people group, from the tribal all the way to the national level, is going to be a trade-off, no matter what. There's always going to be some people who are disaffected by it in some small percentage, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. We don't run societies based on outliers. The second thing is, when it comes to suicide in men, particularly, one of the best ways to mitigate that is to begin the process of eliminating deployment of troops abroad. Because one of the biggest contributing factors to male suicide, including in marriage with divorce, is their veteran status. And it's because they really depend on their family to assist them with what's going on mentally from the fact they've been deployed in these wars. And
That brings up an interesting thing that I'm gonna pull up right now. Men are depending on their spouse, their family, for all this emotional, mental problem and whatever. Okay, so this comes from, right? Scripture, right? New Jerusalem Catholic Bible, NJB, Matthew 11:12-30. Come to me, all who labor and are overburdened. I will give you rest. Shoulder my yoke and lean and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. Yes, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Why are you looking to family and friends to help you with mental stuff and burden and all of that when Jesus told you, come to him, he's the way to the Father? He told you these things. But yet you want to listen to the world, you want to listen to psychology, you want to listen to intellectual like Andrew Wilson and Coach Greg Adam. You want to listen to them. When Jesus himself told you to come to him, stress, crazy, mental illness, he told you to come to him, bring your burden, bring everything to him, because his yoke is light. His ways are easy. He told you this. But you want to trust in them. You want to trust in the world. You want to trust in yourself. You want to trust in people. When Jesus came and he told you no man is good, don't trust no man. Human nature is evil. because they just want to make money off you. They don't want you to be free. They want you to be trapped. Right? No different from the government, right? That wants to be your parents, that want to take care of you, want to give you free money so you keep them in power. Same with this psychology, with this psychology and intellectual that are debating, right? Jesus said, shoulder my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. Yes, my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. What are you people doing? What are you people doing, man?
One thing you could really do that would help that's what the American First policy is we want to bring your troops home, no more foreign wars. That will greatly help and aid with this problem. And by the way, policy-wise, it's already been aiding with this as Trump has wound these wars down. And by the way, I'll point out
that's a good one. I like it.
I'll point.
Shout out to Trump for Trump is amazing for doing peace, for bringing peace to 8 wars and working on more. Shout out to Trump, man. Amazing.
Now, I'll point out a few more things that
Please do. Yes.
So another thing that you can do is at the national level, right? From propaganda works. I'm sure you agree. Propaganda absolutely works.
Absolutely.
If at a national,
I don't know how propaganda works, but okay. I thought only the truth will set you free and work. You can't have propaganda and put a band-aid on it, right?
level, you had propaganda, which instead of showing LGBTQ flags, degeneracy, girl bossing, shit like this, which is what you see everywhere, you had institutional family units instead, right? And that was what you saw everywhere that you went. And that was where the social status was. At the top-down level, that would really help change people's psyches around. The same way they were indoctrinated towards the degeneracy, same way you can indoctrinate them out of degeneracy. That's how we got a whole nation to smoke. And it's also how we got a whole nation to quit smoking. So the thing is, like, there really are good prescriptions here. And the only thing I get from you...
Wait a minute.
Hang on.
We're talking about
hang on.
self-deletion
Almost
of
done.
men.
Almost done.
Okay.
Yes, yes. That'll help with self-deletion of men. Yes. And it's one of the biggest contributing factors. Single motherhood, another huge contributing factor. These are all things which we need to mitigate. And by the way, these are all great prescriptions. You said I don't have none.
No, for a second. That's what you said. Now, here's the deal. These are great prescriptions. I happen to live in the time that you're talking about when the FCC didn't allow degeneracy, and I was able to live through the time where they started to allow it. So I, unfortunately, was able to see a time where America was great, and now we had dysfunction. So I agree with some of those things. That took place probably 40 or 50 years. It would take a very, very unique scenario for that to occur when you have Cardi B and this type of music out here.
Interesting. Was it great back then? I live in a time when, time was amazing, right? I didn't think race, I didn't think poverty, I didn't think any of those things. Life was just happening. I was just living life, right? But crazy stuff started happening. The internet become wild, and you see all of these things that you want it, and you want to be it, which you identify with it because you don't have it, you became unhappy. So indoctrinating back people to this, will that bring them peace? No, it won't bring them peace. It can look like peace on the outside, but inside they're dying, they're crying. Their families are still dysfunctional. Maybe not to this extent, but it's still happening, right?
And she's a single mother divorcee with a man that is having.
But the point was that how are you going to help these males stop committing suicide when their children are being taken away from them and they can't see their children? That was the actual point. But Andrew Wilson didn't actually address the point. He addressed a scope of point, but not that specific point, right? Which is interesting.
Babies.
See, now that's a good argument.
Okay, so how?
That's an actual argument.
Hold on for a second. No, that's something that you agree with. That's okay.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Argument.
No, it's an agree. You just agree. You can be humble enough to say you.
That's
agree.
an actual argument.
No, listen. You don't have to be. You don't have to belittle or attempt to belittle.
Well,
I'm here a grown
I'm
ass
not.
man.
The argument
Just say
is
you agree.
propaganda
Hey,
takes
listen,
time.
listen. Just say you agree. You want to
It's
be
not a matter of agreement. It's a matter of recognizing that was an argument.
Hey, sir.
It's
I know
the
you,
only
I know
argument
you're not
you've
used
made
to
the whole
somebody
debate.
across from you. No, just say you agree. You can humble yourself in the side.
I don't agree.
Now,
It's
listen,
just an
listen.
argument.
You agree.
It's
be a big boy.
No, it's
be a
not.
big boy.
I don't
Now, listen,
agree, but
hold
it's
on
an
for a second.
argument.
Here's a second. Here's a second.
Okay.
You're telling me it's going to take 50 to 100 years.
No.
I ask you about a man that's considering taking his life today. You're telling me about propaganda machine. Okay, there are men here that are been abandoned from their kids. They've been alienated. I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about in the church. I'm talking about today.
Okay, I'll answer
You're
you
telling me
today.
about some scenario where you're going to change liberalism and bring in righteous conservatism. That's not going to work today. We need solutions for men today, not 50 years from the turning point meeting. Okay, at this point, today we have men that are in dire need of help.
I agree.
They're going through unsettling situations and divorces. This is who I speak to, and you keep telling me obvious answers about propaganda and changing this and going to church. This sounds great on paper, but that doesn't happen today. You don't start that today. Can you give me a one solution you got that starts today, Mr. I got all the solutions? We can start today.
Yeah. If you assist with funding MRA groups today, MRA groups today who are trying to legislate and get legislation passed today to create preventative measures for those men today. Now, if you ask me, can you do anything about a man who might be willing to blow his head off right this second because he's already going through the events of divorce, which I had nothing to do with, wasn't there for, could never do anything about?
Nobody can do
Can you
anything about
prevent?
it.
Of course, nobody can. But that's built
Even
into
your righteous
But that's
ecclesiastic
that's
reverend
built
from the pulpit.
Yes, but it's built into the question. What you're building into the question is probably the worst framing ever. Andrew, if somebody right this second is willing to do
Here we
something
go.
bad,
Here's the-
can you stop them?
Here it
It's
goes.
like
Here it comes. Look at the
I don't
scenario.
understand.
But your scenario is
Yeah.
to change MRA funding when women outvote men 60 to 40%, and you have women lobbyist groups and 0 men lobby groups. That's what you're telling
That's
me?
really
We're
funny.
going to change to fun MRA groups. When
Congress
MRA
makes
groups-
the law,
hold on
not
for a
the
second.
voters, sir.
Hold on. When
Congress
MRAs
makes the
when
law.
MRAs are on some terror lists. Yes.
Yeah, that's
so you're telling me that they're going to start just switching funding. We're just going to switch funding over here
Yeah.
to a terrorist organization,
is-
according to some of these websites.
Yeah, I would say
This is just a pie in the sky.
know,
All
it's
your
funny.
solutions are completely
Not
pie
only
in
is
the
it
sky.
not pie in the sky, but I'll give you an
Absolutely,
example. I'll give you an example.
the least possible situation that
Well,
can
I'll
occur.
give you an example of
That was an interesting question that Greg, Coach Adam proposed to Andrew. What can you do now? Now, we're talking about now, not 50, 60 years from now. All you need to do is seek after what is right in his own way. Seek after God. Seek first the kingdom of God in his right way, and everything will be added to your life. He told you these things. You must go and forgive. You have hatred for your mother, you have hatred for your father, go and forgive them. And you can't forgive them. You go and you tell them, listen, forgive me for resenting you. You couldn't help yourself. They can't help themselves, just like how you can't help yourself. Even though you end up in situations like you're in divorce court now, you're fighting for your kids and you're trying to make it work because you want the kids. You don't want the female to have them. The female want them. Female doesn't want you to have them. She'll rather have you thrown in jail and locked up rather than have you see the kids because she hates you. She hates you for that. She hates you for your weakness. She hates you because you allow her to go deeper into hell because you can lead her into hell. You actually went into hell trying to make her happy. And you try to make her happy and she went deeper into hell. She hates you for your weakness. She hates you with the hatred of the mother, of her mother that is imposed onto her. And she hates you with the hatred of her mother that she hates her father for his weakness, for not protecting her from her mother. She hates you because you have been subjective to women like your mother taught you to be subjective to women. And now you've become just like the weak father she had. So she hates you. You need to go and forgive. You need to go and tell your mother and father that you resent them, you hated them, so God can forgive you. Forgiveness is a gift from God. to the other person. And you go and you do that, and God will forgive you, and then you'll be able to enter into the kingdom of God. And you'll be free. God will make a way for you. But you trying to fight and get these kids are just ego. You're just thinking about yourself. You go unconscious and ideas keeps popping in your head, and the evil controls you and tell you what to do, and you do it. And by fighting it, you give the female power because you're fighting to get things from her, so she feels empowered. Fake power, and she controls you, makes her feel good. You're feeding into her evil, and she's feeding into your evil. Two devils fighting for control over the kids. And guess who get destroyed in this situation? The kids. Because you both are not even thinking about the kids. You both are thinking about yourself and who wants the power. So where's the love? Where's the love that you guys start off that relationship with? Guess what? It was never love. It was always hate. The hatred of the mother drive you to have this emotional feeling, to judge each other and say, oh, judge you feel good, it makes me feel good. Oh, we're in love. There was no love there. All for the thrill of it. And now you both made life. You didn't multiply and be fruitful. You never did that. You probably multiply, if you want to call it multiply, but there's no fruit bear in there. There's no fruit there. All you're putting on the earth is more destruction and chaos. So you need to go and forgive so God can forgive you, so you can be free and let go and let God takes over. Because if you don't let go, you're going to keep listening to evil, and evil is going to keep ruining your life and drive you. Okay, let me go check if this food is ready. I'll be back. Aha! I got some food, man. I had to eat something. I was trying to fast till like 6, but no, sir. Nuh-uh. That's not possible. All right. Okay, let's finish this bad boy.
Where it's already happened. So I would argue that the traditional churches are MRAs, that they are men's rights advocacy groups, and that's where traditional masculinity is mostly found today, where men are even allowed to be masculine. Hang on. Let me finish my point. And it is the case that those MRAs, in this case, the traditional churches, already got abortion rolled back, didn't they? They're already moving these things back. They're already at the forefront of fighting degeneracy. They are also the ones who are at the charitable forefront of helping those same veterans who are blowing their heads off when the government doesn't even pay any attention to them. When by the time the government was all done doing any of these reforms when it came to veterans associations, it was those pesky old traditional churches from Sky Daddy that you hate so much. They were the ones on the forefront who were actually assisting those people and not doing that. While you asked me this question, Andrew, what can you do right this second for a guy who's going to blow his head off? Well, probably nothing. But neither can you.
Of course.
But at least we could do something about that not happening to others.
Okay, so
What? By helping them, talking to them, making them feel good? You think that is helping them? I would love to have a conversation with these so-called veterans that the so-called church help and see how they're really doing. Because they're only making them feel good and give them an identity to feel good about themselves, which is not really helping them at all, right?
that's very easy to accomplish in red states, and red states overwhelmingly were the states that got those things passed.
Yeah.
They were already going to get it passed without the interaction of these so-called righteous individuals.
That was
Like,
done
hold
at
on
the
for a
federal
second.
level,
Now
not
let's
the
just,
state level.
yeah, through Donald Trump. And,
Yeah, the
and a lot-
federal
now
level.
watch
It
this.
doesn't have to do with
California, Nevada, these are all states that you can easily drive to and get it done because they're red
Which is why we
or
need
they're
a
blue
federal
states.
ban, yeah.
And at that particular point, are we going to get a federal ban?
Yeah,
You believe
very
that?
possibly could. Yeah,
Possible.
it looks good. It looks
good, but
Yeah.
we don't have it today. All right, so we don't.
You
we're not
can't-
again. We don't have it.
So what you wanna
more
do-
Than likely, more than likely,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. You said it's possible, and I say more than possible. You're not going to get it. All right. So at that point,
That's what
now
they
you
said
have
about
an
Roe
issue.
v. Wade, and they were wrong.
They're wrong today. They're wrong. Possibly, we possibly might get it, but California they're not doing it. I can drive to California
there's
right
a
now.
federal ban,
When
they
there's a
can't
woman I
stop
can
it.
drive, and I could take a woman to Nevada.
Yeah,
You can
but
take
it's
her to
already
many
decreasing the
places right now.
rates. It's already working. Like, what are you talking about? It's already effective.
All it does is just send women to another place.
And it
To find
reduces the amount of abortions.
It reduces it. So
Significantly.
now we're not. That's all we're talking about. Reducing it. We're
Yeah.
talking about now the unsettling experiences.
So do nothing?
We're doing something.
Yeah.
Doing something. I'm informing
Yeah.
people. I'm informing people. I'm giving people the information.
To do what?
And you're telling me
What do you
want
wanna
this guy's
do?
solution that might take
Tell me
forever.
what men should do.
I'm telling you what they're
What?
doing. All right. At this particular point, this
Yeah.
is the question that you've been wanting to ask me. All right. I put out a book called 52 Things That Men Should Do Prior to Considering Marriage.
Okay.
What it does is take it through a step-by-step approach
Uh-huh.
of what they need to look out for just to detect.
What does that
Hold on for a
do?
second.
Right
Hold on for a
now.
second. Just to detect this man's considering. I've had plenty of men that said they were considering marriage. They found the red flags
Uh-huh.
because of my book, and they stopped getting married to a woman that eventually they saw would have been bad for them. That would have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm doing something very positive. Now watch this.
This is
you
great.
mitigate the red flags. You allow
Mitigate the
men to
risk.
understand what the process of marriage is.
Mitigating the risk.
Then you're going into possibly telling them what the state is involved in, how your children are affected, parental alienation, the odds of self-deletion,
Uh-huh.
and so forth and so on. So,
So-
that's an
So I want to
obvious
make sure I got this right.
opportunity for men to learn.
So I want to get this right.
You're telling me
What
what
you're
the sky
doing-
possibility of changing
Yeah,
laws.
so what you're
when women
doing-
outvote men 60 to 40%.
Yeah. So you wrote. It doesn't, dude. You don't even understand the political process and how it works. Voting itself, when you're talking about,
Lobby groups.
yeah, you're
What
talking about
men's
lobby
lobby
groups
groups?
and
What men lobby
NGOs.
groups? What male lobby groups do they have?
Traditional churches.
Okay, we're back to church again.
They're the ones
Okay,
who do
we're
all
back-
the lobbying on behalf of men.
They're doing it on behalf of the men that follow them. That's not on
It's
behalf
for
of
all men. This abortion ban helps all men,
It's
not some. Their charities to men who are going to kill themselves helps all men, not some.
it doesn't help all men in that situation.
Yes, it
helps
do-
the
it
men
helps.
because listen,
Yes, it
I'm gonna
does.
tell you where it doesn't. There might be a woman considering getting an abortion and he wants to keep the kid. He has no mitigating risk because
They're the only ones trying to change that.
Exactly. Who is?
The traditional
You're saying the
churches.
traditional churches.
Yes.
All right. At that point, that doesn't help him.
Yes, it does help him.
So you're saying at that point it's only the traditional church when you have hundreds of female lobbyist groups, and you have them out.
They're the ones
men.
combating those
And
female
that's it.
lobbying groups.
And
Yes.
that's it. How are they doing? Only the red
They're
states.
doing great.
Only the red
No,
states.
at the federal level, they're doing great. You're wrong.
You can still go to other states to get it done.
Yes, but we've still
this-
managed to mitigate it even in those states. It's a war. It's a political war.
right.
That's how it
Exactly.
works. And not only that, let's point this out. Your whole solution here, I wrote a book to help mitigate future events. Oh, great. Andrew, what are you trying to do? Help mitigate future events.
Exactly.
Oh, right now, right this second, what can I do to help? Andrew says right this second, if guy has a 357 in his mouth, he's going to pull the trigger, can't do anything. You're totally right, but neither can you by your own admission.
Correct.
So there we go there. When we're looking at the future, though, and I say, let's do all of these different prescriptions, which we can actually politically accomplish and move towards, you say, that's all fucking pie in the sky, blah, 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 blah. I ask, well, what can you do as far as future prescriptions? You say,
told them.
blacks are fucked, and I have absolutely no prescriptions for it.
No,
Sorry,
actually, I
guys.
wrote a book, 52 things that men could consider
To
prior
mitigate
marriage.
divorce risk. The
So
same thing I'm
find
trying
out
to
if
do.
They're marrying the right woman. So you're just
Mitigating
mad, you're
divorce
just
risk.
mad that I have one solution, you have another, and we don't
Mine's
agree with
better.
it. That's what you believe. I think yours is pie in the sky. So that's just
I
your
don't see
whole
how it could be a
belief
pie in the sky.
when
It's
not
affecting
working.
way
You're
more men
asking-
than your book
you're
is.
asking. No, my book actually has 15,000+. You have how many?
So?
Hold on. You have
So?
how many? You have how many ecclesiastic marriages that your church pastors are going to go into the bedroom and enforce marriages?
That-
You can't even
Nobody
give me a number.
ever proposed
You couldn't
that.
even
You're
give me
such a
number.
liar.
You
You're
can't even give me
such
a
a
number.
liar.
You said that. Give me a
Nobody
number.
said
Okay.
that the pastors are going to go in the bedroom and enforce anything.
Okay, social pressure.
Stop lying.
All your social
Just
pressure.
Stop lying,
Listen,
dude.
listen. Where's your social pressure? How many people do you have in your ecclesiastic marriages? How many people got married under that?
Millions.
Please give me a number.
Millions of
Show
people
me a
have an
number. Go ahead.
ecclesiastical
Can you type
authority.
it up?
That's
Go ahead and type it up.
people have an ecclesiastical marriage. They may have a
No,
state
under
cert
your,
also.
under your scenario.
What do you want me to type?
We don't.
How many?
We don't
you
know. We don't know exactly.
But you're sneezing at my number, but you don't know at
We
all.
know for
hey, listen,
sure
there's a lot
that
you don't
even
know.
if it was
There's
the
a lot
case that
don't
you
know.
never adopted the state,
But you don't have any number.
even if it's the
Can you-
case, hang on.
What's
hang
the
on,
number?
Hang on. Even if it's the case that all they ever did was get a state marriage certificate, and never even followed that portion of what I'm saying, right? The number is still lower by the state's own numbers. It's still lower in
Can you
traditional
give me
churches.
a number of your marriages that you're proposing that we're all going to follow?
We don't know. We don't have polls
You
on it
don't
yet.
have a number.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
I would venture to say it's very little, under 100.
Sure.
All right. So now we got.
No, it's not under 100.
Okay, certainly
No.
under 100.
No, it's not.
All right. I don't hear
people-
anybody talking about it other than you.
Yeah, well, that's because you're not around traditional
Okay.
churches by your own admission. But yeah, there's
Traditional
people who have crowning ceremonies and get married by
Traditional churches-
churches who don't get a state cert.
Traditional churches.
In fact, there might be data on that. You should look.
Please look it up
There might be
under
actually.
your scenario.
Yeah, under my scenario. But the thing is that
Ecclesiastic
even if we
marriages under
grant,
here.
even if we were
So
to
we got
grant,
125
even
marriages.
if we were to grant it,
Yes.
still from the state's own admission, the divorce rate's still significantly lower for a reason.
20 to 30%. Okay, so
That's
it's still
huge.
Lower. It is nice.
Significantly
It will be
lower.
nice. You still have men under unsettling divorce conditions. You still have men under state-funded divorce. You
Yeah.
still have men under child support. You still have men under parental alienation. You still have sexist marriages.
2 out of
You
10.
haven't accomplished most of these.
2
things.
out of 10.
2 out of 10. What?
That would be 2 out of 10. It's 20%, right? It's 2 out of 10 of those marriages, as opposed to your system.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, in your
5
system,
out of 10.
In your system, it's much higher.
It's the system that exists.
No, it's not.
But you're
Listen,
telling me 150 marriages. This is
No.
all of these scenarios. I have to be honest with you. This wasn't much of a debate.
Yeah, I know.
Because
You
a lot
lost
of your,
every-
no, listen. Much of your scenarios were make believe. To
Oh,
be
okay,
honest,
they're all
with you.
make-believe.
They were pretty make believe. You would have to have an extremely considerable movement to be able to accomplish them.
like millions of people.
You would have to have millions of people to do.
Can you pull
exactly
up how
what
many Catholic and
No, no, no,
Orthodox
no.
are in the
No, no,
United
no,
States?
listen.
It's my turn to ask. I can ask him. To
Please
pull
do,
the
please
stats.
do. But that's not the number I'm looking
how
for.
many?
That's
Yeah,
not the
it is the number
I'm
we're looking for.
We're looking for ecclesiastic marriages under your scenario.
No, listen. Even if
That's
it
the
were
only way it works for
even
you.
if it were the case, do you agree with me that if you take the state out of marriage, that is going to assist in the reduction of
You
divorce?
can't take the state out of marriage.
Why not?
That's what you're telling me.
Yeah,
You
why
can't tell me
can't
how
you?
many people have done it?
Yeah, but why can't you do it?
Because no fault divorce, a woman can go into divorce you, even if because you're not under her control. The
How if you're not
ecclesiastics are
married
the
to her?
authority.
By the states, you're not married. How can she take you to a divorce court? Can you
See,
explain that to me?
I asked you this earlier. Have you been through a divorce?
It doesn't matter.
That's
Answer
a
the
yes.
question.
That's a yes. So you've been through a divorce.
Why does that matter?
All right,
What is
because-
pertinent to the
Because
debate?
this is why. Can I finish? You've been telling me I'm cutting you off. You won't let me finish.
Bro, I want
At
an
this-
answer to my
See, There
question.
we go again.
Can you answer my
I
question?
mean, I can play the game you're playing.
You just
And I-
won't answer questions.
Jeez. All right, listen. I mean, I thought you were a tough guy. Listen, under this scenario, a marriage, even if it's ceremonial, religious, it doesn't matter if she files for the divorce. You will still be going in court to fight that.
How
I don't
would you
care.
file for divorce if you're not married by the state, dude?
Listen,
Can you
you're
answer my
completely missing
question?
this. You're completely missing this. This is what tells me you haven't been through one. Have you talked to a divorce attorney? A woman can file. You have to respond and provide evidence that you were not married. Now, you and your common law, you living with your kids, is going to be difficult. I'm trying to give you some information.
That's
now.
common law marriage.
Okay.
That's different. In some states, there is no common law marriage. So
That's
just
not
answer,
common law marriage.
just answer one-
Listen,
okay.
California doesn't even have common law, and that exists. It could be ceremonial. You could get married in Fiji. It doesn't matter. Soon as you get back here, if you practice marriage, the whole institution at that particular point, if she files, you, sir, will have to respond to that suit.
Yeah.
If you do, I would hope and pray that the judge, not God, grant you your wish. At that point, your argument fails because you then would have to say, my ecclesiastic reverend on the Little House on the Prairie granted this marriage, but it doesn't count under the state.
I just want to make
she
sure.
can do this, and you have to respond.
Can you help me with this? It's because I am actually confused.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say a woman and a man went out to a field and declared themselves
You got a
married.
scenario. Let's say if
Yeah, let's say if a
That's-
man went out to a field with a woman and declared that they're married.
correct,
You're saying she can still go to a divorce court and divorce him.
she can file for the divorce. You
How?
have to respond.
Yeah,
You have
with what?
to respond.
Yeah, what does that mean
You're-
though? That doesn't mean
Again, I'm informing
What are
you.
you
What does
talking
that
about?
mean? This is how a lawsuit works.
Okay.
She's
A
a
lawsuit.
petitioner. She files. She says, we walked on coals. We went outside.
Yeah.
This was a union. I consider it a marriage. Everybody knows and addresses us as a marriage.
Yeah.
This is a non-common law state. We receive mail at this place. We've been living under the same roof for this many years. You will have to respond to these allegations. Now you're going to have to say
Yeah.
on your petition, this is not true. We have an ecclesiastic marriage and a prenup under God, and we live together, but we weren't married.
Is this a
That's a response
that
to
a-
the lawsuit,
is
and
it-
then you proceed to trial
is
and
this
hearing.
Is this a lawsuit or a divorce?
Divorce is a lawsuit.
Okay, so I'm curious.
Divorce is a lawsuit.
Can you look this up?
Is
Can
divorce
you
a-
file for divorce without ever getting married?
Oh my goodness, you are slow. You can file a lawsuit for anything.
So then it's
So
not a
anybody
divorce.
can sue you for anything.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
but-
So if you go into there and she
So they're just
says-
suing you?
Yes, it's
Okay,
a
but
lawsuit.
that's not a divorce. Come on,
Says-
dude.
It's a lawsuit.
Can we pull this up? Can you file for a divorce without getting married? Divorce is a legal process that ends in legally recognized marriage.
If you never obtained a marriage license and your marriage was never registered, summarized according to the state law, the courts have no marriage to dissolve. You're full of
Hold
shit.
on for a
You're just
second.
saying
Hold
that
on.
they can do, yeah,
No,
you're
no.
full of shit.
Listen,
they can just
they
sue
have-
you for whatever.
You said they have no marriage to
Yeah,
to
you're
dissolve.
saying that
You
they're
still
just gonna
have to
sue you.
No. You still have
Come
to.
on.
You still have to respond to the lawsuit.
Yeah, but you don't have to go to the divorce court,
You
dude.
do.
No,
That's
you
where
don't.
You file the response.
No,
You still have
that's
to
not
go.
a divorce court.
That is the divorce.
No,
court.
it's not. It's a
That
court
is
of
a divorce
it's
court.
it's the
Listen.
circuit court or some shit, not the divorce court.
Listen. This is
You got
this-
caught in 4K. You're
that's
full of shit.
ChatGPT. That's ChatGPT.
You're full
In
of
this
it, dude.
situation here, we can bring a lawyer in to
Bring
solve
him.
this and say, can she file for a divorce? You're saying what the
No.
outcome is. Hold on for a second. You're saying the outcome, they can't legally enforce it. That's what you hope the outcome is. You hope the outcome is. You still have to
Dude,
respond.
all you're saying is that a woman can sue you for anything.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's not the same as filing for divorce
Hold on
through
for a
the
second.
divorce
That would-
courts.
That's
dude.
where they would file it.
No,
would
they
file it
can't.
in-
No, they're not filing it in the divorce court.
My gosh. All right. That's where they would file it. In the divorce court.
They
That's
would
where
file
it
a
there.
lawsuit.
No, they would file it in the family court. Trust me. Now,
The
here's the
family
thing.
court's
Hold on
different,
for a
though.
second. That's the divorce court.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Family court is a divorce court.
Wouldn't you?
So what I'm seeing here is that she can still take you to court for child custody, child support, because that based on the child, not the marriage. Domestic dispute, if something happened, contract you both signed together, joint bills, lease, loan, property she can prove she paid for. The court will treat you like two separate individuals, not a spouse. So they will still treat it like a marriage no matter what you look at it, because it says here, so what, let me just read everything here. Church marriage, not legal marriage. A church wedding is spiritual, biblically, and religious, but it does not create legal marriage unless you also sign a marriage license. So if you sign a marriage license, then it's legal, right? Fill out with the government or pastor did. Fill it with the government or pastor did, right? If that never happened, then the law does not see you as married, right? But if the pastor fills it out, then it's seen as a marriage, right? Not a common law state, right? If you're not, if your state does not recognize common law marriage, then living together does not count. Introduce each husband as husband and wife does not count. Church ceremony does not count. Having kids does not count. The government simply says you were not legally married. Interesting. So having kids does not count. That kind of makes no sense though. If you're having kids, just leave that for now. So what can she take you to court for? Even if you were only married in church, she can still use court a certain thing. She can still use court for certain things, but not marriage rights. She cannot claim alimony supernatural services support, alimony, supernatural support, division of marital properties, half your stuff because you were married, because legally you are not married. She can still take you to court for child custody, child support, because that's based on their child, not the marriage. Interesting. But up there says something different. Domestic dispute, contract you both signed together, joint bills and leased, property she can prove she paid for. So if she ever put any money in it, she can take you to court for these things. The court will treat you like two separate individuals, not spouses. What if she tries to lie and claim common law marriage? If your state does not recognize common law marriage, then she's legal, but she's legally cannot claim it. The judge will throw it out. All she could claim is financial stuff based on individual contribution, not marriage rights. Interesting.
Have to do that under specific criteria for family court, like a kid's involved or something. You can just
Correct. So in this scenario, hold on for a second.
Dude, that's
Fam-
not the same
hold
as
on, hold on,
divorce
hold on for a second.
proceedings. This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Listen. The family court is what people call the divorce court. There's no building that says
I agree
divorce
with
court.
that.
You understand?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you have a woman with children
yeah,
that you say you're not married to. If she files,
yeah,
you still have to go under family court jurisdiction. You still have to respond
because there's children. Yes,
because there's children.
Yeah.
At that point, my point is made. She has filed. They may say the divorce doesn't count.
Yeah.
But now, how do we deal with these children?
Yeah, but that was
those
never-
that is a part of marriage. Did you not have children with the woman?
Come on, dude. So if you're not,
That is a part of
so as long as you
marriage.
don't have children, then they can't do that.
Correct. That's what you're saying. But you're saying
No, I'm
they're gonna have
asking.
children.
I'm actually asking.
You're saying they're going to have children, correct?
Yes,
You're going to go to family court
yes, you could go to family court.
if
Yes.
she files
You
for the
will.
divorce.
Not
You
for
will.
divorce. They could go for
If
like
she
motions
files
for
child
support or all
support,
sorts of
any
things.
of these-
That's not
the family
divorce.
court.
Yeah.
Still
When we
family
talk about
court.
what men deal with when they deal with marriage and the result is a divorce, one of the things they deal with is child support, also domestic violence, which falls under the family court. So you cannot be married.
You have a problem here with this.
Listen,
so I
it can
agree.
fall under
I
the
agree
family
that
court.
if you have children, that could go through the family court system. Nobody ever disputed that,
Okay.
though.
So you're still dealing with issues,
But
right?
hang on, that's the different one. That's different than filing for divorce. You can't file for divorce if you're never married. That's
Now
one.
you're going to
And
child
two,
support, yes.
and hang on, two. The second problem here is the reason that men usually lose their custody when it comes to divorce and divorce court is because women plot. They plot escape hatches. So what they do is they go, okay,
Of course they do.
look,
Here comes the devil plotting. The devil is talking to them. And you want to marry these females. So even though you're married to them under religious belief or under the law, they're still going to plot. Because they can't help themselves. They're controlled by evil. And evil will always control them because they love their hell. They love evil. They can't help themselves. And they don't want to overcome the evil inside of them. So why would you want to put all these boundaries? Religious leaders, church, community. Why would you want to do that to yourself? And then if you're in a common law state, legally they're going to come after you. But if you're not in a common law state, legally they can't. But yet if there's child involved, if there's violence involved, you're still going to be dragged to court. Because the woman is going to plot. And because she hates you, she's going to do everything in her power. It's not her, it's the evil inside of her driving her. She's going to do everything. Everything in her power. The evil power to get you. Because she's going to want to destroy you. Because she hates your weakness and she loves you for it. Why do you want to do that to yourself? Why do you want to set yourself up? Just because you're looking for salvation. You're looking for love from a woman. You seeking thrills. And you got the devil's daughter. And you want to put all these measurements to control the devil's daughter. Just so you can be with her. Aren't you messed up for wanting that? You're a messed up male. And you will have to suffer for it. That's messed up, man. That's crazy.
I'm going to take 2 years, make sure that you're fucking destitute on the way out, and then I'm filing in divorce court.
Correct.
You're going to get hit over the head from what happens in divorce court.
Absolutely.
Whole different ball game, though. If it's the case that you have children with a woman and she goes and she files for custody, you're actually in a much better position to get custody at that point than if it was the case that you were married through the state, dude.
There's no difference, I think. There's really no difference. Because you're still going to have to go to court, right? And we know the women always get the kids at the end of the day. And it's interesting because you're going to fight for custody. And because she hates you, she's still going to turn the kids against you. She's going to turn the kids against you. So what's the point here? Let go and let God. Simple as that. Because you were wrong. You, the male, you're wrong. You are wrong in the first place. Because if you were right, you would not end up in this situation.
Much better positioned.
We don't know that.
No,
That's-
100%
for a second.
that's
You don't,
the case.
you don't know that. You're guessing. Can you
No,
give me some
yeah,
data on that
that's
one?
actually
Or there's data on that
yeah.
one. Okay, go ahead and look it up. But we don't know that.
Yes,
That's just a
if
guess.
it's the case, hang on. If it's the case,
If you're not
because
legally
that
married.
men who fight for custody,
Correct.
right?
Yes, that's correct.
But they're in a better position to fight for custody if they're not going through the divorce court, if they're only getting motions for child support or
Well, we
child
know
custody.
actually, I'll tell you something. If you are not married to them, you actually fare a little bit worse. If you're not legally married, that's true. If you're not legally married to, let's just take a baby mom, baby dad situation. If he's not legally married to them, they typically fare a little bit worse.
Yes.
in custody cases.
I just said that.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
So at that point, they're still faring worse. If
Now
they're
they're
married,
faring better,
No.
right?
if they're not married,
Yes, they'd be faring better.
No, they would actually fare worse.
How?
Well, ask any guy that's been in court. We can look at this.
Yeah.
When they're not legally married to
Yeah.
a woman, they go through a custody battle.
Yeah.
When they're legally married, they do better getting better custody.
Yes, men get better custody.
When
So
they're
that would be a
legally
better
married.
outcome.
If they're not legally married,
Yes.
typically they fare worse getting custody
Why?
because they're not married to the woman. This is typically it just depends on
It's
jurisdiction.
because of the unplanned nature of it.
Correct.
If it's
exactly.
planned, but if it's
planned, we don't know.
No, we do know.
The judge
actually.
doesn't know.
Hang on.
How do they know?
We do.
So now you're saying
Nope.
you're going in there to
Hang
use that we're not legally married, but we're married.
Here's how we can logically, I think I can actually logically demonstrate this, and I think you'll agree. Okay. So the reason that men tend to fare bad in custody disputes and in divorces is because it's unexpected. So usually they're getting hit with it and it's unexpected. Even if it should be expected, because it's unexpected, they have time to plot, they have time to plan, this kind of thing.
Domestic
right?
violence
So they
issues.
can, they can
Correct.
hit them with it.
Right.
Right.
That's an evil woman. That's an evil woman, man.
That's, I mean, and it's,
That's normally what happens.
yeah, that's
You
normally.
can't mitigate that. Or are you suggesting
You
you
can
Okay.
mitigate. You can mitigate it. Here's how you can mitigate it. If you're in a church, you have the
52 things? Go ahead.
yeah. If you have the if you have an if you have the ecclesiology, the ecclesiastic community, the community actually supports you when you're going through these problems.
They're not going to be in court with you.
No, they actually help you with funding. They help you with
They're
everything.
not going to be in
Yes.
court with you. They're not going to be.
They
in
don't
court
need
with
to
you.
go
They
to
don't have
court
the-
with you.
So
Money
gonna
is
be-
the what talks, man, and bullshit walks.
Exactly. I agree with that. That I can agree with.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to fund
Well,
that. To
they
get
do
to-
all the time.
Listen,
they
all right,
insist on custody
125.
agreements all the
These
time.
small marriages. I
Yeah.
would love to see these out. They should do a documentary on them.
They do.
All right, so we can see.
We do have stats
but
on this.
most people aren't under these, so we can say that's clearly the case.
but
In
that-
those
so what?
situations here, under those situations, you have men that are not under this veil of, I don't know what it is,
It's good.
okay, that do fare
Yes,
worse
whatever
when they're
it
not
is,
married. Okay, that's typically what's going to happen.
because it's because the childbirth itself is unplanned. But if they're with a woman long term as a partner, they actually do better.
Absolutely, and I was
even
one of
if they're
those,
not
and I was
married.
one of those.
Even if they're not married,
Typically,
typically, yes.
That's but sometimes
So it's still
not
better
the
outcomes.
situation.
You're just talking about the unplanned nature.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I mean,
there
mostly-
there have been, because there's a lot of factors here. You know what I mean, we can make things black and white. The guy doesn't have the ability to maintain the custody. He lives in another
Yes,
city.
because
there's
it's
so many
unplanned.
other factors.
Because it's
There's
unplanned.
so
I
many
knocked
other
her
factors.
up. That's
No, no, no,
different
no.
than I was
Well,
with her
they
for
were
a
in a
couple of years.
relationship. They were in a relationship. All right.
Yeah,
but
but knocking her up usually happens early.
it could. It typically does.
It
because
typically
that's where I'm in.
does.
And
Yep.
at that point, now they were raising the kid for 2 or 3 years. They were together.
But this goes
and
to
then
my
it happens. But it also goes to my point. In this situation here, right here, we have a lot of things that we like to make black or white and easily
So
solve.
it's all nuanced. I agree.
Okay, very much nuanced.
Yeah.
At that point, then you're just telling us, oh, I'll just throw this aspect of religion on top of it and it'll fix it. Or it'll mitigate. It'll mitigate it. It'll mitigate it.
Mitigate.
It doesn't eliminate it. It
Yeah,
just
but
makes it less.
you-
You're not can't eliminate it.
But
It just
even
makes it less
okay,
likely, but they're still going to
but
go
even
through
if
it.
it-
Once they go through it, what do you do?
But when you said a marriage was a great institution, right?
It
Did that
was.
eliminate all divorce?
It was very low.
Well, right.
7 to
So it's
10%.
just you're only
Like,
talking
it
about
was actually
mitigation.
lower.
You're
It
only
was
talking about
It
mitigation.
was actually lower than the percentages that you're showing me.
I agree.
Way lower.
I agree.
Way lower.
But you're still talking about mitigation.
But we also talking about white people were least likely to get married under these scenarios too.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we're still talking about
I think, are they talking in circles now, right?
mitigation.
I would
Exactly.
love to finish this video today, honestly, because they're going in circles.
And so,
At
yeah,
that
you
point-
say it's great and it's mitigating, and I say, okay, I want to move towards mitigation. We can never eliminate it. You can't hold that against me.
I can't, and you can't hold it against
I
me for
can't.
telling men to avoid the situation, especially since, and I'll add this on, especially since we can know statistically women are getting married at an older age. That is increasingly high. We can look at 40 years ago, it was 20 years old. We can look at today, it's roughly around 28
Yeah,
and 30.
but there's some nuance there too. And
There's a lot of nuance.
Well, hang
there.
on. There's
And
here's
hold
the
on for
thing-
a second, but I
Okay,
was
go ahead.
completing a
Go
point
ahead, go
here.
ahead.
Okay. At that point, you're seeing a lot of women choosing to not marry. You're also seeing a lot of men choosing to not marry those women that are older.
Yeah.
So how do you get those people to have an ecclesiastic marriage?
I'll help you.
When you're telling them, these people are saying, I'm not marrying that woman.
Yep.
She's a stepmom, or so no, she's a single mom.
Yep, I
she's
understand.
older.
Yep.
She's past her prime. How are you getting that marriage rate up?
This is the
with the
best.
ecclesiastic
So I
marriage?
think that's a great question. It's one
Other
that,
than saying that they got to be virgins.
and it's one that I need, and it's one that I do need to answer to. So here's the answer to this: the reason that women are getting married older is because they're deferring their childbearing years for college. That's why.
That's obvious. Okay.
That I mean, literally, that's the only reason, and one of the prime reasons that the birth
So no education for women, no college for them.
rate is collapsing is because they're having children older because they defer those childbearing years.
Like I said,
later
that's
in
not
life.
fruitful and multiply. That's just adding.
So we can look at this and we can. Well, it is still multiplying.
okay, all right,
Anyway,
all right, yeah.
The point is when we're talking about, we go back to this whole propaganda thing, right?
You're not going to get a disagreement on this.
Hang on. The idea is, should we have propaganda that says, women, you go to school, we'll give you student loans, right? We'll back the entire thing for free, and we promise you a lucrative STEM career, right? When the opposition is actually true. Or do we run campaigns that say no STEM funding, you got to pay for your own fucking college, okay? Or you can choose the more traditional path.
How
which-
likely is this to happen?
It's actually pretty likely. If you look at the idea of STEM fund or funding for college, right? The idea of student loans and things like this, women are already trying to check out in the worst way because they can't have kids later in life.
If they're not getting married though. They're not.
They
turning
do.
that
They do.
in.
They
They're
just
not
do
turning
that.
that
They
in to
do
get married.
college first, and this is, by the way, where the body count comes from. The big body counts are coming because they spend all this time in college getting fucked.
Very
right?
obviously.
And
This
so,
is obvious. Yes.
And then afterwards, right? They get their little lucrative career, and then they want to settle down.
They find this.
But it seems to me very obvious that if you wanted to do something about this, you would want to create the incentive for women to not go to college and instead use their childbearing years to get married, because that's what we always did.
I've actually created this scenario before, and it's very opposed to where society's going. Society really not showing that they're showing trends of this. You might have the little spatters here and there, but if you have a woman that says, okay, I can't afford to go to college, she becomes a Walmart clerk. Hold on for a second. She becomes a Walmart clerk, an assistant manager. I'm looking at those particular demographics. They're not jumping into marriages. All right, maybe in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, they're still out here hoe hopping. All right, they're still finding a variety.
But here's why. So women are getting more college degrees than men because men have a viable option for making income, which is easy.
Correct.
I mean, it's actually harder, but it's easy, and for them,
we can survive.
And the idea is, if you're a tradesman, you're gonna make a lot of money. Okay, especially in modernity, because there's an incompetency crisis in the United States.
Absolutely.
So if you're good at what you do, you're gonna make a lot of money. And that's just it.
Women are less likely.
And even if you're bad at it, you'll make a lot of money. But the college thing created a situation we were not aware was going to happen, even though I could easily have predicted it, which is oversaturation. Women only go for a couple things, and they're sociological related mostly. They're not really for STEM fields, and that's who's hiring is the big STEM fields. Everything else oversaturated. That's why women end up in government NGOs and government think tanks as psychologists, because the overage has to go somewhere. But that's saturated too. So you're seeing actually a trend begin to emerge of that trending down because of oversaturation. So if that's the case, these women don't want to go work at Walmart as the assistant manager, right? And if you had said propaganda plan, and the propaganda plan is simple enough, the idea here is just don't defer your childbearing years for college. Instead, we'll help you with incentives so that you have children younger and you get married younger. You will almost eliminate this entire problem. And yes, not only is it viable, not only is it viable, but we should be moving towards that. This idea that you should get married rather than just create the conditions for which marriage is great is exactly what we should be doing.
And under those conditions, it would make sense because you're getting women that can multiply, that can.
But it's only the churches that can get this done.
No, not really. But in this situation here, I agree. I agree with.
Only the church can get it done? That's kind of crazy, right? The church can't even help themselves. What a mess.
That scenario, I proposed that many years ago. However, you're gonna be hard pressed for women to actually pick that. Although they're not going to college, they're trending down in college. They're probably
the only way this change if women wake up and take a look at themselves and seek after what is right and raise and help the male raise the upcoming generation to be good. But no woman is good, no man is good. But just for communication purposes, be good, right? And women, take a step back. If you're not married, of course you have to work, you know. Maybe you don't have to go to college, but you have to work, right? To feed yourself. And the women that are married, why are they out here working? Why do they not love their kids? They have no love for their kids. They're out here working because they want to feel good about themselves. They want to be the males. They want to be the males. They have no love for their kids, right? And once they jump out of the workforce, these working females, job will open up. The job market will pay more because supply and demand. The more supply, the more supply, the less it's gonna be. But when it's when it's supply and demand, right? When there's more demand, when there's more people applying for a job, the rate can be lower because you have abundance of people you can choose from. But when there's less supply, you're scratching to find them and you're going to bump up the rate to get someone to work for you, right? Makes sense, right? But we're going to cut it here for today. We stop at, oh, nice. 1 hour and 30 minutes. 30 more minutes to go. But we're going to stop it there, guys. And, you know, I got to get ready because there's somewhere I gotta be. But But I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll catch you on another one, right? We got probably do the rest tomorrow. We'll know. We don't know. We'll just have a way to see, right? Peace in the Middle East, and if not, at least in your hearts.